This conference will now be recorded.
I'd like to call the meeting of August 12th, 2021 to order. Before we get started, if you are joining us virtually, please mute your microphone during the meeting unless you want to speak. Otherwise, background noise will interfere with the meeting. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Bring the minutes of the non-public minutes of July 22nd. I'm assuming that you have those, Jeannie? And this is, Pat had requested some changes in the last meeting. Thank you.
Do I know her?
Thank you.
No, this is a reappointment.
Yeah. Still going to object to the minutes, but you go ahead and vote on them. As this is an allegation that's not been proven.
Any other discussion? I'll make a motion to approve the non-public minutes of July 22nd.
Desmond second.
Motion and a second. Any other discussion?
Let the record show that I highly object.
So noted. Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
Motion passes. We'll collect those. Do we keep those sealed? Do we have to make a motion to keep them sealed? Okay.
Okay.
Down there.
I got 3 of them. I don't know whose 3 I have, but I have 3.
There are 2 over there.
Life.
My oldest getting ready to go back to school.
All right. I'll bring the minutes, the public minutes of the July 29th meeting to the floor for discussion.
Make a motion, we accept the minutes of the July 29th as written.
Rogel second.
Motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. We'll do the non-public minutes of July 29th. What's that? Okay. Thank you.
Second page, right in the middle, paragraph. Ends with an E. E. What does the word rescinded mean? Look back? Yeah. Okay.
Where are you? Oh,
Begins with E, and it's a word rescinded, and I just wanted to make sure that
all right.
Hit the button on the screen.
Oh, it's right next to the battery symbol.
Jeannie, I have a question on page 2 of 3, last paragraph. Are you sure that I shouldn't word it that way, I'm sorry. I'm questioning whether that was a 3-2 vote. Constantino in the negative. Wow. I'm just surprised at myself because I would not have, reading it, I would not have done that.
now Joe, you
Yeah,
would
I'm,
believe that.
yeah, you're right. I would have believed Joe, but not me. Oh, okay, got it. All right, okay. Got it. Make a motion, we accept the non-public minutes of July 29th as written.
Ruggles second.
Motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? Now, do we unseal those minutes, 1 and 3?
Expressed an interest to start. So what I'm saying is, what we have this discussion about what we want to get. Oh, sorry.
Well, wouldn't should number 3 be unsealed because we're acting on that one tonight?
Right.
It's on our agenda tonight.
That's why I said to you that it may be something you want to wait on. So why don't we just wait?
Okay.
In the past, we don't commonly unseal the minutes of the payroll evaluations only because they talk about the evaluations, not just the pay increases. And so in personnel, we have never in the past unsealed that portion of the non-public because they involved in little bit more than just the pay. And we've always, the pay increase has always been a public document anyway. So once it gets to Tim's in the PAR, it's a public document.
Okay.
We've never unsealed, in my experience, any of that information.
But wouldn't number 3, because it involves, okay. It just seems weird that you wouldn't unseal number 3 if you're,
I don't recall which one was
We
3. So
have not announced that at all. Number 3. So we should have,
all right.
okay,
Okay, I'll move on.
got it.
All right, sorry. All right, let's see. I'm gonna make a motion to accept a $2,500 grant from Walmart. Walmart awards small grants annually to various organizations within the communities where they have stores as a way of being a good community partner. Officer Murray applied for and received this grant, or applies for and receives this grant each year for the police department to use for various miscellaneous expenses. The grant will be used towards the police department gym and the movie in the park. Thank you to Officer Murray for her continued good efforts.
Excellent job. Bravo.
bravo.
Is there a second?
Second.
Well, yeah, we'll all second.
All right.
We'll all second it, absolutely.
All right, any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Make a motion to accept a $25 donation from Ronald and Judith Mills to the Tilton Senior Center in memory of Emily LaPlante. The funds go to the Tilton Senior Center.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
I think it's in memory of her daughter, correct?
Emily LaPlante, yeah.
Emily LaPlante's daughter, not
Oh.
Emily LaPlante.
Oh, it just says Emily LaPlante.
Thank you.
Oh, on the check it says daughter. Sorry.
Em's
it's like-
alive and well, thank you.
Well, we're
Yeah.
planning. We're
I
planning.
talked to her.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. That's okay. That's okay. Except, let me read this one first, just before. Make a motion to accept a $50 donation from Christy Sarles in honor of Pat Constantino. Funds go to the Senior Center.
Second.
Okay.
Ruggles, there's a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes.
Can I ask a question,
You-
Mr. Chair?
Yes,
On the donations, I don't know if I'm correct in saying this or not, but I think it's over $200 that we have to accept in a formal. I don't know if the board wants to continue to take the time on a $20 one or a $25 one or $50 one. If you want to, that's fine, but it just takes time to make a motion and accept it on smaller donations.
I like accepting the donations, recognizing those individuals, and I get it, but $25, $10,
those add up.
thank you very much.
Yep.
And
Okay.
they should be recognized, because I want to encourage more. Me.
I like it.
Mhm.
Keep doing it. All right. Let's see, the time being 5 PM. I'd like to make a motion to open the public hearing to accept the American Rescue Plan Act funds.
Second.
Oh, this is in accordance with RSA 31:95-B. The selectmen will take action on the receipt of $370,915. The town's allocation of local fiscal recovery funds from the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021. Per the RSA, the selectmen are authorized to accept and expend with no further action by the town unanticipated monies distributed by the federal government through the state of New Hampshire for municipal aid. So there was a second.
Yes.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? None. So Jeannie will briefly explain the fund's usage because we have a crowd.
That would be you, chief.
Oh, Mr. Barrett is online, so
So,
Chief Pizer sits like,
so as the chairman mentioned, we are due to receive $370,915 from the federal government through the American Rescue Plan Act. I just was notified the other day, and you may recall that I did make application for that. And I was notified 2 days ago that we should be seeing the money in the next 6 days. And that will be, just as a reminder, we'll get half this year and half the next year. And we still need to, and this was published in the paper, so it was duly noticed. The use of the local fiscal recovery funds is something that this board needs to talk about how you want to spend that money. Our first report is due October 31st. Doesn't mean we need to spend $185,000 by October 31st, but we should have a discussion at some point, not tonight because we have a long agenda, but in the next month. Tim and I have discussed some ideas. I think I mentioned to you before what these funds can be used for, but I'll just very briefly go through that again. The funds can be used to support public health expenditures, for example, funding COVID-19 mitigation efforts, medical expenses, behavioral health care, and certain public health and safety staff. It can be used to address negative economic impacts caused by the public health emergency, including economic harms to workers, households, small businesses, impacted industries, and the public sector. It can be used to replace lost public sector revenue. It can be used to provide premium pay for essential workers. You remember we did this last year for our police department, so it can be used for that. And it also can be used to invest in water, sewer, and broadband infrastructure, making necessary investments to improve access to clean drinking water, support vital wastewater and stormwater infrastructure, and to expand access to broadband internet. So I don't know if anyone has any questions or if the public has any questions.
Is there anyone from the public that would like to comment? No comments from the public. How about from the board? Anyone like to make a comment?
Jeannie, I would like, it would be my preference if you maybe put together a list of possible priorities or situations, you and Tim, that we could take a look at and start to discuss as to where it could best be used by the town. So,
And we will do that. And
Okay.
I would guess probably in mid-September, we'd be ready to present that to you for your decision on how you want to use those funds.
All right. So any other discussion? I'll make a motion to accept $370,915 from the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021.
Jessamine second.
Motion is second. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. The time being 5:08, I make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. All right. Moving right along. Police Chief Pizer, Department Plan, bunkers on Main Street.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, Chief.
Here to discuss a couple different parts of the department plan, personnel and vehicles. I'd like to go ahead and pass something out to all of you if I could to start off with.
Sure.
This is really just on the vehicle section that I'll go over shortly. First, I'm just going to go over the personnel side real briefly.
Jean,
Is that better?
you have to have it really close to you.
Yeah, you like have to almost
Yeah,
eat
pull
it.
it up a little bit, like this. There you go.
There you
Better?
go.
That's
Yeah,
better.
Okay.
we don't want to get yelled at.
Gail doesn't yell.
No, but
Going that way with that.
all right.
They're coming your way.
Thank you, sir.
So we had previously discussed potentially changing up our formatting for personnel positions for the department. But upon careful reflection, I'm actually very pleased with what we have going on now with leaving a format of having a chief, 1 lieutenant, 3 sergeants, with one of those sergeants being an administrative/detective sergeant. With the caveat, of course, that we do fill that empty detective position, so that person then supervises the 1 detective and then additionally assists our administration, meaning myself and the lieutenant, with administrative tasks. So essentially, myself, then the lieutenant, whose primary responsibility is the patrol/law enforcement services side, and then a detective sergeant who not only supervises the detective, but also assists with administrative tasks as well on the opposite side of the house. And just further administrative stuff regarding fleet and other admin things that just don't need to be on the plate of the lieutenant as well. That being the case, there would be 2 patrol sergeants, as there currently is in the absence of once the interim sergeant situation is resolved. So once we do select one of the 2 interim sergeants to become the patrol sergeant, then we'll have the 2 sergeant situation there, the 3rd sergeant on the detective side, the lieutenant, and then 9 patrolmen under the 2 sergeant system there. That includes the SRO position that we've currently posted, and which we, by the way, already have 2 applicants for, and a 3rd interested party who called in today but hasn't yet put in their application. So we at least have 2 candidates so far and possibly a 3rd on the way. So very, very hopeful about that. So the 9 personnel on that side counts Officer Smith, who's being sworn in tonight, It counts the open SRO position that we've currently posted, and then the one other vacancy would simply be the detective that we haven't yet obviously hire officer and then move someone to detective. So that being the case, it really isn't any kind of a departure from what we've done in the recent past. So I'm really not proposing a different system. I'm satisfied that that's going to be that's going to work for our plans moving forward.
Is the SRO going to be starting, you think, before the school year, or?
We would very much like to.
Okay.
We're going to begin interviews pretty shortly. We didn't do a closing date. We did a posted until hired situation. So we're going to begin the background on the couple that we have now, and then as soon as we can bring them in for interview, go ahead and try to get the ball rolling on that. We're also getting a lot of attention from the school board side of it as well, inquiring into what are, I met with Superintendent Seward last week, and then actually Winnisquam High called today, also inquiring about the SRO situation. So I know that everyone's eager for us to go ahead and make a placement there to make a decision. So, and we are as well. So we want to make a good, careful, well thought out decision, but we'd like to make that before the school year starts. So lots to do in a short period of time, but we can make that happen. So especially with a little bit of choice, that's a really great thing. Nice to not just have one applicant for a position. So a little competition there. So that's really all I have on the personnel side. I'm not really requesting any specific action per se, just kind of an update as we promised, or as I promised I would provide you later on to say if I was requesting anything additional, which at this time I'm really not, just a filling of the positions that we previously filled. And so I think really just after this SRO position gets filled, we'll be looking toward that last position to get that full so we can move someone to detective full time. My thought potentially being as well that since we do have some applicants for the SRO position, we may have someone in that group who may end up not getting the actual SRO position, but might be interested in coming to work for us regardless. So I'd kind of like to keep that open as an option.
Two birds, one stone. I like it.
Yeah. So that's really, I don't have a lot on the personnel side today. It was really just kind of an update as to what, that I'm really not requesting anything further there. But I would like to get into the vehicle side if that would be all right.
I'm just asking, and maybe it's Tim, as far as the extra payroll, when we put these people on as officers or SROs, we have this money budgeted currently. Okay, just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, we had that 85,000 cut last year, but really that was the captain position. So it's eliminated. So I just want to move into the vehicle side of this discussion. I know I've already passed out this for all of you to kind of look over because obviously not everyone potentially listening has this in front of them. I'd like to go ahead and just go over it real quickly. In evaluating the general condition of the Tilton PD vehicle fleet, it is generally poor, with 10 of the 15 vehicles exceeding 100,000 miles of service, many of them upwards of 130 to 150,000 miles. I've attached a spreadsheet that has all the specifics on all of the highest ranging. I mean, it has all of the mileages for all the vehicles, but I've highlighted everything that's exceptionally high. And of the remaining 5 vehicles that aren't counted in that 10 of the 15, 2 of them will attain 100,000 miles within the next 6 months. Utilizing law enforcement patrol vehicles beyond 100,000 miles is a practice generally not recommended within the industry, with some professional advisory organizations establishing even lower recommendations than 100,000. In discussing some local agencies, Sanbornton PD uses the 100,000 mile model as a cutoff. Northfield PD is currently utilizing only 2020 and 2021 vehicles, with one exception, and even their spare is much newer than anything we're using for detail cars. It's a 2015. MRI, Municipal Resources, Inc. provided the following guidance to the town of Grantham to give an idea of an industry standard that's well accepted. They said that frontline police vehicles should be replaced after they've reached 85,000 miles, since they are subjected to more rigorous driving than a typical passenger vehicle. Rapid starts and stops, frequent shifting in and out of gear, opening and closing of doors throughout the day, and the strain put on the electrical system operating all the equipment takes a toll. As the mileage creeps up, the repair expenses increase. In addition to the actual odometer mileage, it is estimated that each hour of idling is equivalent to about 21 miles. I think you'll see in looking at the second sheet, the mileage sheets, that we actually have some vehicles so old and so out of shape that even the odometers no longer work. Those vehicles are all in excess of 100,000, some of them quite a bit higher. One of them, I think the odometer stopped working at about 141. So my plan right now is to highlight on the second sheet 4 of our worst condition detail vehicles. That would be 04B, 06B, 06C, and 10A, 4 of the 5 Crown Vics, the Ford Crown Vics. I would like to retire those from the fleet. They're not only in terrible condition and extremely high mileage, but very aesthetically in very poor shape. We'd like to keep the 5th Crown Vic just as an extra vehicle. It's still in reasonably operable shape. Good to have as an extra, even though it's not being extensively utilized now. We'd like to push down 3 of the frontline patrol vehicles that we're using now that are getting high in mileage. One's at 135, 496, one's at 104, 231, and one is at 113, 496, and that would be 13B, 14A, and 15A. We would like to push them down to become detail cars, so they're no longer receiving the same kind of usage. Of course, don't have the same type of day-to-day use as the others. And then purchase 3 replacement vehicles over the course of the next year, which we're looking at Chevy Tahoe PPVs. That's the police package Chevy Tahoe. We're looking to depart from the Fords after speaking with Kevin Duvall in Highway, who feels like he's had a lot of problems with the diagnostic equipment that Ford requires is basically proprietary. So we often send our Fords away for things that are very, very minor, that he has diagnostic equipment that he could have just evaluated, fixed on site, and instead we have to send them away to Ford all the time, costing us additional money in repairs that are really not necessary. The Tahoe is a nationally recognized police vehicle that has been in service for some time, including there's some other agencies around us using them, including Franklin. So I've broken down here a cost estimate per vehicle. The best estimate that we have right now, the state bid is accurate for the 2022 Chevy Tahoe. The outfitting and equipping costs is an estimate based on 2018 estimates. So we're just waiting. We have requests into all 3 of the places we're quoting for that, but this is a reasonably close to what we're expecting to get back from them, from the 3 that we're requesting quotes from. We just haven't received their updated numbers yet. And then, of course, the next item is just decaling them out. That's going to actually be a little bit cheaper. It tends to run us $1,000 a vehicle when we decal them out. We're going to try to cut some costs there. Just things that really don't matter. There's a vinyl package that adds white panels to the driver vehicles of our vehicles. We order them in, say, a solid color, say a blue or a black. Then we add the expensive vinyl on the doors just to make it a 2-tone color overall, which is really unnecessary and expensive. So we're looking to cut some costs on the decaling, just a slightly different package that we'll just kind of go over and with our people and see what suggestions are put out there. But it'll, of course, be very similar to anything else you'd see out there, nothing extravagantly different, but a little bit cheaper.
May I ask a question on that?
Sure.
So if you do it on the 3 new ones, are you going to do it on the other?
No, it'll just be grandfathered in. So the new ones will come in with it. And then when we in the future order new vehicles, we'll do the new decal, but we'll keep the old. It's not worth the expense of trading out decal packages. So yeah, no. That's not reasonable in my opinion.
That happened to us,
What
remember?
does it look like? I'm a visual guy. You can tell me.
Sure. Yeah, we're just talking about, so we don't have a specific, but what we're looking at is ordering them in navy blue, eliminating the white, the counter white. So this be strictly navy blue. We're not looking at going with interior light packages. They have a number of drawbacks. For example, they diminish the field of view of the driver, and especially at night, they cause a lot of landscape loss. And so when you're inside looking out, you get a lot of the flash coming back at you when you're trying to see outside the windshield. And then when you have like an unmarked like I drive, a good portion of your field of vision from the top of the windshield bound down about, I would say, 8 inches is impeded. So a lot of times you'll pull up close to like a stoplight, for example, and you'll have to like crouch down and look up to see when it turns. So we're really not fans of the interior lights, and they don't serve a terribly legitimate purpose if you're not in an unmarked vehicle. So we're looking at a regular light on the top, nothing extravagant, basic lights. In fact, we're looking to eliminate some of the light package that have items that have formerly been put on the vehicles, like the small side lights that go on the back passenger compartment. We don't like the fact that essentially a prisoner could reach through the bars and actually damage that light. And then really, when you're looking at the sides with the strobes in the rear flashers and the tail lights, the headlights, and the lights on top, you really do have good side coverage to the point you don't need that extra lighting. So we're, of course, cognizant of safety, but we're going to eliminate where we can eliminate. So essentially what it would look like is a navy blue SUV with a normal light bar on top, a large size patch decal on the driver and passenger side doors, probably some large police verbiage on the side. And then we would also like to create a agency slogan, which we would like to have receive suggestions from the officers along the lines of what I'm saying is like, so a lot of agencies do things like to protect and serve. That is not going to be ours. We're looking at something unique to us, something that, you know, represents our department, our city, our town well. But just something that just a little slogan for the vehicles. Almost all agencies do this. We just don't have one. So then it would be like a 3 or a 4, usually a 3 or 4, maybe even 5, words on the side, either on the back or on one of the sides. But it's all pretty typical. I mean, nothing extravagant. Really, it's more just what we're cutting is probably the biggest differences. There's nothing significant that we're adding. So it would just be eliminating some unnecessary lighting and then eliminating that really expensive vinyl. It's several $100s just to have that white vinyl put on the 2 doors on each side. I want to say it's up to like $600 just to put that, just to do it a 2-tone, which I've really never met anyone who's just in love with the 2-tone, has to have a 2-tone car. So I say we go with the package right from the way we order it, a solid color, and then just any kind of color or graphics that we want to add to differentiate against the solid color, we do in the decaling, which is cheap. So sorry, I don't mean to go on and on about that. I know it's just decaling, but
In the lighting, you're not a fan of the LED side.
I like the LEDs in the flash, in the taillights and the headlights. It's really more of a safety thing than anything else. It has good visual. You can see it very well from both front, back, and the sides. So it's just a good expenditure of money. You're not adding a whole extra light, but you have a good deal amount of coverage on all sides when you do it that way. I just think that extra lighting that someone had added somewhere along the way on the rear passenger, like prisoner section next to it's susceptible to damage from criminal mischief from someone vandalizing it. A prisoner. I mean, I just really think it'd be very easy for them to reach out and just pull it right off. Even though you have bars, it's still easily accessible where a person can put their hand in between and just grab it and just yank it off. There's a lot of expenditure for us for no reason. And then I just think that you have enough coverage between taillights, headlights, and then overhead bar. I don't think you need that extra. I think you have good side coverage. So it just seems like an unnecessary expenditure. I'm all about cutting where we can cut to be, reasonable, of course.
I'm only going to counteract that today, just because this morning when I was going down Main Street to work, there were 2 cruisers that were driving to something. They had their lights going, no sirens, but and ironically, a fire truck was coming out at the same time. But I saw the side lights first. I didn't see the headlight. Like it was at least one of them was unmarked. I don't know if the second one had a light bar or not, but I noticed the unmarked car was first, and I saw the side lights first.
And I'm not necessarily opposed on an unmarked vehicle because it really is different.
And maybe it was in the mirror, so that might, and I think on the back of the mirror it has a light, and that might be what I saw, but I saw a side light first before I saw anything else.
Right. Yeah, and that may have been some of the thinking. I don't mean to disparage anyone's thinking in the past of why they might have wanted that light. But and I think really in an unmarked car, maybe it has a better usage. It's just we're not really going to be transporting prisoners in an unmarked. We don't even have a cage, so much less potential for damage. And of course, your lighting is not as bright and not as noticeable in an unmarked because it's all inside within the windshield and the back window. So, but I think for patrol usage, unnecessary. But anyway, that's my proposal essentially. Would really like to asking for 3 so we can replace these ones that we want to push down, eliminate the 4, move the 3 down, replace the 3. But of course, not all immediately. I'm talking about possibly maybe 2 as soon as possible, and then the last one in a few months. So just kind of gradually making some improvements here over the course of the next 12 months. Yes.
Doesn't that mean that in 3 years or thereabouts, we're going to face the same, we need 3 patrol cars all once again?
We have to just keep up with it. Here's the thing. We fell behind because of the building. First, they were apparently, I mean, obviously we all know this predates me, but purchasing the land, then going through the building. And so for a couple of years, I believe we didn't even buy even 1 vehicle a year. So we're now dealing with the consequences of that. And I know there was good reasons for that. It's just that there's always repercussions for decisions. And essentially now we went on a couple of years with no new cars. And so we're looking at of the vehicles that we really use, for patrol usage that aren't unmarked and that aren't detail cars, they are all very high mileage now with one exception. The only one that we even use now that for patrol usage that's not exceptionally high mileage is one at 71,333, and even that's getting up there. I mean, it's certainly not a new vehicle anymore. We don't have any low mileage vehicles any longer that are used for patrol, none. So we're just getting to a place that I think if we could just fix where we're at now because of the couple of years lost, fix it with the new ones, get rid of the really, really outdated, no longer at all working stuff, push the ones that are still operable, but that can be used as detail cars, but really aren't safe to continue using in the way we're using them down, replace those. I think now we're at a point where that maybe like one a year again will keep us going. I just think that we have to catch up to a place again where the one a year will work for us. I think it's important just to get to a good solid base level and then maintain it from this point forward, not buy 3 now and then 2 years from now buy 3 again, and just maintain it as we go along, so we never get to this point again where we're looking at 151,687, 148,663. We just shouldn't be driving vehicles like this, not for this kind of work. So.
Okay.
I have a couple questions. One is, have you met with Tim to figure out how we can pay for the 2 now and 1 in a couple of months? Are you working
Yes,
together on that?
we are.
Okay.
It's a combination. It's between the detail funds,
Mhm.
which would not entirely pay for one vehicle itself, but a good portion of it. Then, of course, I think that we're under budget this year for a number of reasons, and so we're hopeful that that rest of that will make up the difference. And then there's a potential, although we're not committing to that tonight, that some ARPA fundage might be an option also. But we're confident we can make this happen. Just I can't give you specific numbers right now about exactly how that. I'm also still waiting on those updates with the 2018. I'm using 2018 numbers right now, which I know are going to tweak a little bit. We're just not expecting much.
My other question was, in the past, we've asked for a rotation schedule so that it kind of eases into it. So if you get 3, that we rotate so that we're not always using the newest one out there and banging out 100,000 in the first 2 years.
Yep, and that's a great idea. I think we have to move into it only because the only one we have left, we'll have the 3 new ones, and then the only other one that isn't already high mileage is the 71,333.
Mhm.
The other 2 are already at 94,669 and 94,439 respectively. So they're already going to be really getting topped out themselves within the next 6 months. Not that we can't use them beyond 100,000. Of course we can, and we have been. It just isn't optimal. And when you really start getting them into 50%, even more than that, now you really are starting to touch on safety issues. You really just can't rely on using a vehicle to respond in code 3 or to do the kind of stopping and hard charging work that we're expecting of them when they are this high a mileage.
So is that an impossible task to get a couple of where we're at right now with the vehicles and the mileages? If we get 3 where the other vehicles and the high mileages now, it's going to be kind of impossible to do that,
Well,
even in the next 3 years.
Of course we can
Saying.
use the higher mileage ones less. We have to, of course, continue using them just so we don't. One of the problems we ran into with one of the vehicles essentially that we're getting rid of, for example, it is can't tell you exactly which of the 3 or the 4. It's one of the 2008 Crown Vics, the white one. It shouldn't be in the condition that it's in, to be honest with you. It was left unused for so long and was minimally used in a way that it's just like any other piece of equipment. You don't use it, you don't maintain it, it just sits there indefinitely and it deteriorates. And really, it should be in far better shape with the amount of mileage it has on it than it currently is. But it's not. It's deteriorated. It's in poor shape. So actually, a vehicle that's a little bit lower mileage than it, or higher mileage than it, is in better shape. The blue one, the only Crown Vic that we want to keep essentially is, you would think would not be in a better shape than the other. And if you look at the 2, the white one looks great, but it's not mechanically great at all.
Yep.
So it's just a shame. So you do have to use this stuff, or we can't just say, oh great, 3 new vehicles, and then we also have the 71,000. We're just going to completely stop using those the 94,000, even though people might want to. We still have to use them, but we can minimize their use. I think it's what you're asking is, can we, make it a little more equitable? We don't have them on the far ends of the spectrum where brand new vehicle, 100,000 vehicle, we can certainly. It's just that we're kind of starting from a disadvantage because everything is such high mileage right now. So when we bring in those 3, they'll be the only 3 that are even remotely close to being new. Literally the closest to being new car that we have to the 3 new ones potentially is that 71,000. So that's where we are. The fleet's just in a tough state.
Tim?
I just wanted to comment on the rotation schedule because we did have at one point, how we were acquiring the vehicles each year. And as Chief Pizer said, during those 2 years, we were not acquiring any vehicles. So the way I look at this is the 2 vehicles that would be the immediate purchase paid for out of budget and detail fund would be making up for those 2 years. And then the third vehicle could, if it's put in, it could be put in the budget, or it could also be a warrant article at town meeting. But either way, it could be, slated for starting with 2022, a vehicle each year. So then we'd be essentially caught up with the purchase of 2 vehicles.
I really liked Chief Pizer's answer. I knew the answer. I just wanted it for the public for her explanation. So sorry if you kind of thought that I was questioning her, but you did an excellent answer on that, Chief Pizer, because a lot of people question whether or not we should rotate or not. But I have one more question, if I may. Your decision on the Tahoe versus, I know the Ford, but why not another
I don't
vehicle?
personally have a strong feeling one way or the other regarding model, if you will, make or model. And I am very pro SUV. There's not a significant enough cost between cars and SUVs to disallow for the benefit we get from crash protection for having our people in larger vehicles. They're just more likely to crash working in law enforcement. That's the bottom line. We crash more often than do the average citizen. We are in our cars all the time. We're driving in a more dangerous way. So I prefer the safety of the larger vehicles, not to mention, we're in a cold weather climate here with a lot of needs to transport larger items, which allows us the extra space. And again, there's just not enough cost difference. You'll see that a lot of agencies across the country now are going to SUVs for their entire patrol fleets because there's no reason essentially not to. All the companies, Ford, Chevy, they're all making police package SUVs now that are every bit as comparable in their ability to handle as the cars are. So most people just feel like we get more bang for the buck going the SUV route. Now versus Ford versus Chevy, I'm not one or the other. I don't have a dog in that race. But again, in speaking to Kevin Duvall, which I did at length about this issue, he prefers the Chevy Tahoe. It would be the first time that we enter it into our fleet, but it's not the first time for the area. Others are using the Tahoe. The Tahoe is every bit as popular. I don't say every bit as popular. The Ford Interceptor is doing very well across the country. But there is the diagnostic issue, which Kevin specifically prefers to be able to work on our vehicles himself as often as possible, as opposed to sending them away to Ford all the time. So in consideration of his views, and because I don't have a preference one way or the other, just that it be an SUV, I think the move to Chevy Tahoe I think it's very safe. We're certainly not going with a vehicle that's never done the police package before. I mean, it's very well accepted. Departments across the country using it for that purpose. So I don't think we're reinventing the wheel with that or anything.
Right.
It's not a personal preference. I'm just trying to make the best decision for the town.
Scott had a question first, Joe.
And so, Chief, if there was and I know you don't have to have it now for us, but if you had a pie in the sky dream acquisition plan, okay, we know 3 now, but going forward over the next 3 years or so to put us in a position 4 years out where we obviously aren't facing this. All I would like you to do is sort of think about that and then maybe bring it back to us. I know that financially it may not be possible, but just sort of thinking, would it be 3 this year, 2, just sort of thinking about that, just so that I'll use the term caught up, so that it then makes the department's job easier going forward in terms of the rotation, in terms of thinking about usage, et cetera.
I'll absolutely put something together.
Okay.
Joe?
Where is the Chevy service? When Chevys are brand new, there's a lot of things that our mechanic won't be able to do to the vehicles because warranty. So where do we bring these vehicles?
I'm not positive on this, but the state bid through McMulkin Chevy is the one that we got the quote from the state. And then I believe they also have a quality service department. I was speaking to someone the other day who said that they still did some servicing of vehicles. So I'm not sure that they could do everything that we might need to have done, but they do have the ability to service.
Where is that place?
Oh.
McMullen is in Nashua.
Yeah.
Benson's up the road, they service police cars too.
Yeah, Benson's and one other were the other two we're going to get quotes from, but we,
Oh, yeah, local.
Canton,
I'm
Canton,
all
I
for
think.
local if we could do that.
Canton and Benson, I believe.
a lot of the places that we looked at, like Irwin's and some other locals that we've gotten from in the past, just don't
Canton.
carry the Chevys.
Canton, the
Canton.
is a
Yeah,
Ford
yeah.
dealer, Hyundai, I think, too. Toyota.
Yeah, so we're still going to deliver, 2 quotes on that. It's just that we went with, this is the state bid, so we don't expect anyone to come in lower. And it is a confirmed state bid at this point. We do know that is McMulkin's price. So we're not sold on McMulkin. We just know that that's likely to be the lowest.
Okay.
We're waiting on the 2 bids. Same thing with all the other for the OEM and Adamson and MHQ. Of course, we're going to go with low bid for what we need, as long as they can provide us what we need. And we are cutting. We have pulled we've for the equipment, the after the fact equipping for all the lights and radio package and everything that goes into the car after we buy the base vehicle. We have gone through, we've printed out everything that we previously ordered, and line by line by line, myself and Lieutenant Gilman are going through and saying, we don't need that. Yes, we have to have that. We have to have that. And we're literally going on to make sure that we're not just going to trust that people making previous decisions made the ones that we want. So we are going line by line to be fiscally responsible to say whether or not we think that should be in a car. Between the two of us, we certainly have, the ability to make sure that we're ordering what we need and not ordering things we don't need. So we really are trying to make this responsible decision making, but get what the department needs.
Regarding the Ford, the Expedition and versus the Tahoe, one of the things that goes on cars, especially that are driven like this, are water pumps. They go regularly. And I've had the opportunity to watch Kevin while he's working on a water pump. To replace a water pump that's in a Chevy is a pretty quick thing. In the Ford Expedition, you have to go and take the whole front suspension out and the undercarriage, the whole cradle that goes under the engine. Then you have to drop the engine and the transmission out, which is 4-wheel drive. Okay, and then you have to disassemble the whole front of the engine, which also means to do that, you have to take the radiator and the whole front firewall out to replace a water pump. We've replaced 2 of them. I think one of them went twice. And the other thing is the timing belt is the same type of thing. So right there.
I worked in a Ford dealer for 2 years, I know.
Right there, when I went in and saw the whole engine and suspension from a police car, I was like, what happened to it? And he said, it's a water pump. I was like, really?
He was pretty passionate about it. Like I said, I drive a Jeep Wrangler. I don't have a dog in this race one way or the other, but he was very passionate about wanting the Chevy. And since he'll be doing all the work, I thought his opinion was certainly valuable in that regard.
I have a question. And maybe this is just something I read somewhere or heard somewhere, but do they have to be retrained or recertified to drive a Chevy
No.
Tahoe, or because they handle different than?
There are some agencies that put their officers through a course called EVOC, Emergency Vehicle Operations Course.
Yeah.
I would be fine with putting our brand new people who have never driven a police car before through a very modified EVOC type of a situation where they go in a single day with another, like in the course of their field training, and where they actually have to do some vehicle skills. I'm very good with that and probably will work that into ultimately when we redo our field training program. But people who are already certified law enforcement officers who've already had some degree of either experience driving police vehicles or already have had some version of EVOC, no reason for them to be retrained just for a vehicle make or model change.
Okay. Well, it's just a bigger, a Tahoe, would you say a Tahoe is bigger than the Ford Interceptor SUV package?
That's true, it is.
It's a bigger car. So, you've already just made me a little nervous by saying, and I understand you're more prone to accidents just because you're driving more, but it's how you drive that determines the length of these vehicles. And I understand these vehicles have 20 different drivers. I get all that.
Right. And we are including some safety equipment that, does assist them with that, like rear vehicle camera, which I think is really good for when you're backing a large SUV, especially as, often as they'll be doing that. And into places like Sally ports with prisoners, not only is it a pain to crash a police vehicle, but when you crash one with, prisoner passengers, just additional difficulties, like they can now feign injury, that kind of thing. So because we back with them so often, I think the rear vehicle camera is essential for those vehicles because they're large. So
Right.
we're
Oh,
including that as a necessary.
Absolutely. I worked at a Ford dealer for a while, so brand new vehicles. And just as John said, the water pump goes, it's, and then hopefully with the supply chain issues today, that it doesn't take long to repair. And I don't know what Chevy's is like, but I know Ford's for a while got, what do you mean it's brand new? It's got 3 recalls.
Yeah, we were a little worried about availability. We're being told that the ordering window for the Tahoes opens up on the 19th of this month. That's when they first become available. And then they don't know how long the window will last. They really couldn't even give us an estimate. They said we're looking at hopefully 60 days or so, but that, upon approval, we probably need to at least get our order in for, give them an idea what we're looking for. So I guess there's just, again, shortages still.
What's your timeline on us, or what's our timeline for us to get this? And if you're saying that 19th is next week, I think.
Yeah, that's when it opens. So
Right, but
I
it's
think
not going to last very long.
Right, I agree. So I think really what we're just looking for is to give you specific numbers that aren't estimates. Right now we're dealing with those 2018 numbers. I think once we have the specific numbers that we can say this is actually the cost, which should be soon. We're just waiting on all the people that we've requested them from to give us the numbers. Then Tim and I can sit down and actually work out this is where it's coming from. And I think we'll be good to go within a matter of weeks.
Hopefully. And then what's the ETA on? Okay, from the time you order it to the time it's out here.
I don't know.
Okay.
Sorry, yeah.
Well, that's what I'm.
Snowplow.
Oh, that was a year and a half. Remember?
Just,
The company?
well, like if you go to MHQ, that's, down in Marlboro. So that it takes coordination. If you go to OME, it's out on 140.
Yeah, no,
140,
OME's
I think,
local,
so.
and
It's down there.
we're using their quoted price for now.
Never heard of Adamson, so I have no idea. So
Yeah.
I just, if you're looking at this, and then we're looking, in the winter and things like that. So, because I know that some of these vehicles are.
What happens with the old vehicles? What do we trade them in, or?
I think they go to auction. And I'm not sure that with those 4 Crown Vics, we're going to get anything for them really, but I mean, better than just.
Might get a good laugh.
Yeah.
Out of those vehicles.
I mean, perhaps something,
you could
perhaps
sell them.
some value.
Offer sealed bids.
Rochester Fair has a demo derby.
Big Franken
We
car.
could offer sealed bids for them.
Yeah.
I always wanted to try the demolition derby.
I think the Hopkins Fair has one too.
That would set you up.
All right.
Yeah, you probably could.
All right.
Chief.
Thank you, Chief.
That's
Oh,
awesome.
we have another thing on bikers on Main Street.
Yes.
Don't sound so enthused.
Oh,
I was like, yes. Like, oh.
so just back to the vehicles. I assume that you're not really comfortable making a decision until I can give you the specific numbers, or where are we at? Do I need to come back to you as soon as possible with the specific numbers?
I think that would be the consensus.
We can't approve money for you until we know how much money it is.
And where it's
I
coming from.
approve the concept. Go
Absolutely.
forward and.
Yeah.
It
get
just needs to be
these
the exact
figures.
money
Yeah.
for the,
Yeah.
okay.
But
So if you, yeah.
exactly where the money comes from, and we've got it, and
We're getting the
But-
best deal. Yeah.
You have it next week?
Yeah, if you
Return
have
to
it,
you as soon as possible.
yeah, if you have it next week, let's.
Okay.
Yeah.
Rock and roll.
Great.
I agree. I hate it, but I agree.
Regarding the Main Street bikers, would you like me to hold off or? Okay. So when we talked about the Main Street bikers before, we were kind of suggesting that perhaps it's a 2-pronged approach, an aggressive enforcement potential, and then a deterrence angle. So in the time that I've had since we had the public meeting, and in several of the incidents we've had with these kids since, it has really driven home a point that several people have made along the way, that we are not talking about, when we talk about the Main Street bikers, we're not talking about all these kids being equally responsible for the acts that are criminal. I think it's very, very clear that we essentially have 2 or 3 of the kids who are consistently committing crimes, consistently. And that the rest of them are, for the most part, followers, and or maybe wouldn't even be engaging in any of the situation at all if we were addressing the ringleaders. So we have been aggressively pursuing a couple of the ringleaders, one especially. I can tell you that I obviously can't use names, but so in one case, our prosecutor, our town prosecutor, had a hearing yesterday on a criminal charge against one of the juveniles that have been involved in this. We're awaiting the result from the judge in that case. That's a disorderly conduct criminal charge, a misdemeanor. We also currently have charges against that same juvenile in 2 additional pending cases right now. One of them will be, at the very least, criminal harassment, possibly additionally false imprisonment from an incident at Tanger Outlets, from which we also have trespassed 4 of the bike kids from that same incident. And then the third pending case with this same juvenile is another disorderly conduct charge. We are very hopeful that as we continue to aggressively address the 1 or 2 kids who are consistently committing the criminal acts. A lot of what the kids are doing, I know, are irritating to people, and some of them are problematic but non-criminal. But then we have a couple of them that are consistently committing crimes against our citizens. I think moving forward, the plan is going to be to concentrate on those 2 or so kids who are absolutely committing things that we can address, even though myself walking in, I'm a little unsatisfied with the way in which we're able to address it. It's not as fast or as easy as I wish the criminal process was possible for these kids. It simply is what it is. We're going to operate within the system and do what we can. But moving forward, I've also talked to our prosecutor about doing some more unconventional methods that would not be punitive, but might work toward convincing the kids to, I think that some of the criminal penalties aren't necessarily effective in the eyes of the kids. I'm not sure that if a couple of these kids, I'm not sure if you arrested them for a misdemeanor every other day, they would matter so much as they would if you, say, took their phone as evidence. Now, that's a legitimate law enforcement need because the kids are recording a lot of the things they're doing, and then they're then posting it on the internet. So essentially, the use of their phones is facilitating the reasons for the criminal acts. So I think moving forward, we're going to think outside the box a bit on the criminal side, and then also to ask the judge in these cases, as we move forward with the prosecutions, to do some things that are a little bit out of the box, but certainly within the purview of the judges, such as in the course of determining sentencing, to say, listen, a couple of these kids are doing all of these crimes while riding their bicycles and while engaged in a group of kids who are riding bicycles, and it doesn't happen outside of that environment. We would like included within the prosecution agreement a consideration or a determination that they will no longer be allowed to use bicycles. So while we can't within the law, we cannot, as the police department, take their bikes. They're not evidentiary. There's nothing about the bike that we're going to take and then use for some legitimate purpose in that way. A judge can order them to not utilize the very means of transportation which they're using to facilitate all these crimes. So moving forward, we are looking at aggressive enforcement against the ringleaders, if you will, coupled with continuing to appeal to the other kids who really are just interested in showcasing their skills. But I think recently we have concentrated on the criminal side of it. And hopefully what we're doing right now, we literally have these 3 cases pending right now, one that's already had a hearing, we're just waiting for the judge's decision, and these other 2 that are pending criminal cases right now, in addition to the trespass warnings. I think that if we continue maintaining this stride, this level of enforcement, in addition to possibly adding in these things that may prove not punitive, but successful in deterring them from continuing to commit these crimes, because I'm not sure that the sentencing or the consequences within the criminal justice system are getting to them. But I think they would very much not like to be deprived of their phones for a couple weeks at a time, every time that we use them for evidence. I think they would very much not like to have a judge saying, we're going to prevent you from using your bicycle moving forward, or else you'll violate the terms of your sentencing agreement. So I think that there's just some things that very much can be worked within the system that haven't been to this point that we're going to work to do on the criminal side. And then I think the manner in which we do it is going to be important. So I've spoken to my supervisors in our last supervisors meeting, and we're going to push it down to the agency very shortly. Some very basic things like I know that Selectman Constantino spoke with a group of the kids last week, and they had made the statement that the police department hates them and that the selectmen of this town hate them. And that's certainly not any kind of belief we want them to have. We want them to understand that we are going to aggressively address their crimes, but that by no means do we hate them, and we want to provide them alternative choices to what they're doing. Did you want to bring up at all
I distinctly get the impression that there's a group, but within that group, there's some really tough kids, if you would. And then there's kids that see that this is happening and they turn the other way, go the other way. And the kids that I happened to run into last week were the kids that ran the other way and that really genuinely are interested in using the park, were using the park in Northfield, but it was taken away from them, and are interested in just showcasing their skills.
Yes, my officers and a lot of our victims, when they do their statements, say the same thing, that a lot of times when these events occur, like the Tanger incident, where probably none of you are actually aware of what that is. So a woman was essentially accosted by a group of juveniles who all circled around her repeatedly as they cursed at her and yelled at her and menaced her essentially while she was trying to walk to her car. Then she couldn't get to her car because she was afraid of what they were doing. They were circling her, threatening her, yelling at her and such while they recorded it, and then I believe later posted it. So there's criminal charges. We have 4 trespass warnings for Tanger for all 4 kids involved in that, and then criminal charges pending against one of the kids that we can prove. We often have ID issues. We can't often always, even though we suspect we know who they are, we have to have the witnesses know who they are, at least to the degree that they can describe what they're wearing. Then we go out with them and say, oh, look, that's the one. Can you describe what they're wearing? Yes, but that doesn't always happen that way. So that's the situation, is that I absolutely agree with what you're saying, that it has to be handled in a way that we understand. We're not talking about all the same kids, all the same types of kids. They consistently say that an event will start, and then the kids who really started it stick around and just make it worse and worse and worse. And a lot of the kids see what's going on, want no part of it, and they're out. They don't mind hanging out with these kids when they're doing tricks on bikes and when they're all grouped together, but as soon as the criminal stuff starts, there are several of them that always consistently depart, like they want no part of that. They're just there for the tricks. So I think targeting these kids, addressing their crimes, the ones that are committing crimes, has to be our plan moving forward. And then finding some alternative stuff for the other kids who, these ones, the hardened ones, are probably just not going to be reached by those alternatives. We're probably going to have to continue to use the criminal side of the system to work.
There were 3 or 4 of them that coming out of the Big Apple, the Shell station downtown. Jane was coming out of the store and started chatting with them, and immediately I got out of the vehicle, but they were extremely polite. They were talking about their bikes. They couldn't get enough. They were very interested that we were interested, and no foul language. Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. And they really wanted a venue, and they were looking for a venue, and they said, well, it's, they were, as a matter of fact, well, the police don't like us and the town doesn't like us. And I said, well, that's not true. We just want you to be safe. Period. End of discussion. But I get a feeling from talking and people talking directly with people that have been affected by their disrespectfulness that there are definitely 2 definitive parties involved in it. That I was fortunate enough to get the good ones, I guess.
Yeah, I absolutely concur. I just want to assure the selectmen and the community that we do know the difference and we actually know who is who.
Yeah.
We just can't obviously say, obviously we're not going to identify anyone in this forum,
Right.
but that we, the police department, do know which are which kids are committing crimes and which kids are essentially hangers on. And we are trying to address them in that way, that we address the criminal kids aggressively with these charges, with being consistently aggressive with it, and then working to find alternatives for the kids who are simply not committing crimes but want to showcase their skills.
Right.
I went to a meeting with a foundation called the Foothills Foundation at Highland Bike Park a few weeks ago, 2-3 weeks ago, trying to come up with some kind of a solution with them. But pretty much found that this wasn't really a new discussion for them. They've tried options in the past. They're not unwilling to continue trying efforts. They certainly are willing to continue to offer, say, free bike passes for that sort of thing, and or like a daily pass or a reduced rate for this or that. It's just that they have tried that in the past, even for some of the kids that really are major problems, and it just hasn't been any kind of an answer. I think for a couple reasons. One, because it's apples and oranges. The kids love bikes, but they're not really into mountain biking. They're doing a different kind of bike skill. They're doing street bike skills. And
Yeah.
so they're kind of like, yeah, that's the mountain bike park's cool, but it's not really what we're into.
Right.
And then the second reason, just that if they were into it, we still have the transportation issues of getting kids all the way up there.
Up there.
So
Right.
while I think we all think that's a great idea conceptually, we're not sure logistically that's going to be a solution for this.
Right.
So
Trying to find a solution would be good.
Yeah.
And the youngsters that I spoke with, were very interested in being part of the solution. And if we did find a place and they wanted to help build, they wanted to come and help build. They wanted to be a part of that building, that resolution portion of it. So we'll see how it comes.
an ongoing effort, but I want you all to know that we are addressing the crimes
Mhm.
very actively right now, and we'll continue to do so.
Good job.
Thank
All
you.
right. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Chief.
So I think this is done with my my section on the agenda, but I know Vista Heights is next, and I do have some data for that if you'd like me to remain up here.
Yeah, we're gonna open the public hearing and then we'll get into that. Yeah, we're just gonna take 2 minutes to stretch our legs here for a
Print out the
second.
data for the Vista.
See if anyone
Copies though.
drops in online, jumps in online. Did it cool down outside? No.
Oh, it's gonna be hard to walk out of here today.
Open. for- Is it?
Yes, sir.
Just to make it a little more humid, right?
Sun's out.
At my new place. I mean,
Oh, you-
just
oh, you-
is what it is. I mean, it's hot everywhere.
Just like Florida.
An air conditioning unit upstairs in the bedroom, but nothing down, but a fan downstairs. So that's. Kind of back to the same issue with the other.
Yeah, thanks. Well,
Invent it, right?
I just looked at the agenda, I'm like,
No, I'm gonna look into it. I mean, I know there's not much more, I think,
I've been
of the hot
working
season left that it's gonna, I mean, do you think?
On
A lot of hot days left, you think?
Yesterday I was crawling. Inside the knee wall of an attic that was in. Wait, just give it to me, I'll do it. Just get it over, just tie it around my waist. I'm going. Just, you know, sit there, Todd. It was Ashland.
Oh, sure.
I might just, I mean, I have no
17,
problem buying stuff.
1800
It's gonna be
stone.
good. I mean, I just thought I might look into, yeah. Like drain into a sink or something, huh? Oh, nothing. Really? Wow.
Was that the portable ACs?
Yeah.
Yeah, it blows the hot air over it and exhausts it as moist hot air. So it evaporates it.
Oh. So it doesn't need an external outside exhaust, it just does it in the same room? Oh.
Yeah, it just has the,
Right, there's a fan coming in and then there's one, the hose going out, so it's,
Does the hose have to go to the outside though?
yeah.
yeah, just the one hose. But if you have a,
I'll have to look. I'll look again, but It's just kind of like all the windows are those huge, like, see that window right there? Like, they're bigger than that. They're all big. She put in
How do
big,
they open?
beautiful windows.
How do they open though? Do they go
I've been there,
up?
I've
Are
been
they
there one day.
sashes? Yeah, see if there's sashes, that's no problem. That's easy. And they'll fit in.
Open it, and then there's a plastic piece, close it down, and then the hose just.
Like with an AC unit, like with a window unit. I'll have to look, because I've been there one day. I just don't know yet. Especially just full of my boxes and stuff right now. But, yeah, I'll take a look.
Yeah, Kevin's got a couple, I think he's got one or two.
You up for pizza?
He blows them all out and everything.
I feel bad for those guys in there today.
Oh, okay.
They're gonna be there anyway.
I
They
know.
might as well take
Yeah.
their money. I've been working in kitchens. I know. I know.
All right. Let's see. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, thank goodness for that. The place that I sleep in, the upstairs, the bedroom, it does have a window AC, so that's good.
Wow, this one was all messed up, huh? Oh, this is all to be signed too.
Yeah.
I always get yelled at, so I can't pass the phone. All right. The time being 6:02, we're going to open this public hearing. There does not appear to be anyone currently online, except for one person online. But he's been online since the beginning, so I'm not sure if he's online for this. So the selectmen had a request by a resident to install speed bumps at Vista Heights. We're holding this public hearing, this public meeting tonight to hear from the residents of Vista Heights. Each resident received a hand-delivered invitation to attend the meeting tonight, either in person or virtually, and also allowed the resident to respond in writing. We have received 7 written responses, 6 against speed bumps, and 1 in support. I can read the responses if we want to read that into the public record. Should I read those in, Jeannie? Okay. Do I have to say their name and what they said, or? Okay, I'll just read the name and street address, or just the name of the resident? Okay. Okay. So the first one was from CTAR. I do not support the installation of speed bumps. Next was, I do not support the installation of speed bumps. This was from Alice Courtney. She also wrote, there are extra trucks and vehicles on the road due to house renovations, which will end, but the bump will remain. So it's a definite no. I'm concerned about safety of kids on skateboards and bikes with, it's cut off, but it looks bumps. Okay. Number 3, I do not support the installation of speed bumps. And that is from Dennis Audette and Carmela White, same residents. Number 4, I do not support the installation of speed bumps. That's from William Ferry. This is an email. This is from Jane Key, Keay. We are not in support of speed bumps on this road. And this is from Selena Gendron. I support the installation of speed bumps. I believe there should be speed bumps throughout the neighborhood. And then this is from, oh boy, Beverly Geyer. I do not support the installation of speed bumps. That would be a total waste of taxpayer money. Maybe 15 to 20 cars ever go up there daily, making deliveries, mail, and trash. That. And So just to let you know, we placed the variable message board out on Sanborn Road to notify residents of today's meeting. We've also asked the police chief and our DPW director to weigh in on the merits of installing speed bumps, and they saw no problem if that's what the residents wanted. The DPW director did advise that it would cost approximately $1,450 to install the speed bumps. So we're going to have Chief Pizer just make a quick discussion. And I don't know, do you want to turn?
Yeah.
I don't know. You can hold that in front of you, but, or maybe take the portable and hold that just so that you don't have your back to the people.
So we put our mobile speed trailer out in the Vista Heights area for a period of 6 days. We actually had it out for a much longer period, but we had a problem with the unit not capturing data. It was recording speeds but not capturing the data, so we ended up having to switch the batteries out, put it back out again, and did get 6 days of quality data. So during that time period, we had 197 vehicles collected for speed. We never did have a vehicle speed faster than 30 miles per hour. And that entire time we had only actually one vehicle at 29, one vehicle at 30, and everything else was below that. We actually have a graph. We can actually share it with any of you who would like to look at it, any of the results of the data from the speed, the mobile speed radar. The speed limit there is 20 miles an hour. So oftentimes we in law enforcement would not even pull someone over for anything more less than 10 miles over the speed limit. So essentially what we're saying is that the data suggests that speeding is not necessarily a problem in that neighborhood. I still have no personal objection to a speed bump going in there. It really, I think, is at this point just a financial question, really, whether or not it's worth putting the speed bump in. I think the data suggests that there's not necessarily a terrible speeding problem there, with no one in 6 days, one vehicle traveling 10 miles over, one vehicle traveling 9 miles over. Other than that, everything else was below that limit. But I can certainly pass this data around to anyone who would like to look at it. This is all public knowledge, public information. That would show you exactly how many vehicles between every single category. Or if anyone wants, I can just read it out loud for every single category, if anyone wants that kind of detail. Okay. So no, the department has no objection to the speed bump, but just is suggesting that the data doesn't support a need for it, is bottom line. If anyone would like to look at this, please just let me know and I'll pass it around.
Thank you, Chief. If you would like to speak, you do have to state your name and your address for the record. So, does anyone have any comments that they would like to make? We do need your name for the record. No, you guys say it into the microphone because it's being recorded.
Dan Jordan, 70 Vista Heights. I requested this a couple of years ago, went to the police department. They didn't want to bother with me. I had to go to a selectmen's meeting, then COVID started. Those were pretty much called closed. Had a couple little fawns that were living out in front of my house. And they were next to the road, and trucks, construction vehicles, and everything were flying by. Four-wheelers were flying by. And I'll tell you, it was ridiculous. They didn't even see these deer. I was just afraid of them. I said, I'm going to put a speed bump up there for about a month. That's all I wanted. One speed bump for a month, knock a few front ends out of line, whatever it took. Maybe they'd slow down, maybe they wouldn't. I'm the guy that wanted to speed. And
just make sure you speak into the microphone,
those
sir.
Names that you gave off, I don't recognize them up in that area. Bill Ferry lives way down the front, and it wouldn't affect him anyways. You know, because I wanted it up in the project more. Just for a month or so, just to slow people down a little bit. That was the reason for this speed bump.
All right, thank you. Anyone else? Oh. Yep.
Katie Courtney at 78 Vista Heights. If you put the speed bump up and you're saying there's kids on their bikes and four-wheelers and whatnot, and then you want a speed bump to slow down, you just don't want them to absolutely go flying and crash. I mean, it's a downhill. We're right next to it. You come down our hill and you're going down the hill and there's kids on bikes going downhill. You don't want them to hit the speed bump and absolutely crash. That's my worst fear, is seeing a kids. There's some kids that are running out from, outside the trash can, not going to name names, I guess, trying to scare the cars going by. And I could see a speed bump for that. I mean, you almost hit a kid that comes out running at you. But I mean, there's kids going around on bikes. There's toddlers. I have my nephew who's not even one who's going to be learning how to ride bikes. There's one right here. We have a couple of kids. So that's my comment.
Thank you. Anybody else? Nope.
I'm Jean Patterson, 61 Vista Heights. We've been here about a year and a half. When we first moved in, there was very little traffic at all, and most people went at a regular speed that they should be going. We had a couple new people move in, and that's when the traffic has picked up, and a lot of young boys, I think. So they come speeding down the road. I have seen a big difference because the sign thing you have there right now is right in front of our house. So we have noticed that having that there is making a difference with cars slowing down. So I don't know if we could leave that there a little bit longer, see if it helps. But I definitely am seeing a difference with the cars, especially from up the street coming down slower.
Okay.
Go ahead, Chief.
And I'd just like to say that whether or not you all do get the speed bump in the neighborhood, there's nothing that precludes us from increasing our enforcement activity in the neighborhood, which we will certainly do for you. That's not a problem. The actual radar unit is in kind of hot demand. There's other communities that are kind of begging for it to be brought to them as well. So we probably will have to move it here shortly. But because we're aware of this problem, because we're aware of your concerns, we will certainly increase our presence in the neighborhood, whether or not you get the speed bump. So that's not a problem. Okay.
Thank you. Go ahead, Pat.
James Bledsoe, 41 Vista Heights. We live on the corner down from where this gentleman was talking about putting the speed bump. And like this young lady said earlier, there's a lot of kids that come down. My kids, they ride the loop on their bicycles. They're walking around. And I have two kids that aren't the most balanced kids. Just that. So a speed bump, when them coming around, they would hit it, they would wipe out. Then we're looking at ER visits. We're looking at more damage than what it's worth. Plus, our road, we already have a hard enough time keeping it plowed properly during the winter. The speed bump's just going to prohibit them from plowing our road good enough for everybody to get in and out that lives there. And, like she stated, we've had a lot of people move into the neighborhood. So houses are being renovated. So there's a lot more vehicles in the neighborhood than it has been in the last. I've lived there 3 years now. My wife was there previously, and vehicles has only increased because of the new people coming in and doing renovations on their homes. Other than that, the last 2.5 years I've been there, it's been quiet neighborhood. The only people I see come in and out are the people who live in the neighborhood, and once in a while they're family members. So we're opposed against the speed bump just because safety of the kids trying to enjoy the safe neighborhood, the circle to ride their bikes around, knowing that they're not going to have a lot of traffic in the neighborhood. So we're opposed against the speed bump.
Just so you know that the speed bumps come up in the fall, just before the plowing season, and then get put back in the spring.
We also don't have a speed limit sign anywhere in the neighborhood. So I guess how would people know that it's a 20 when typically some are 30, some are 35? You just don't know, especially going up a hill. I mean, you don't, but I personally didn't know it was 20 until the speed limit went up. I mean, there's no sign anywhere on Vista Heights. So.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to speak? Oh,
Hi, I'm Carol Edmonds, and I'm at 95 Vista Heights. And I'm new there, and I know there are a lot of construction people that have been in and out of my place. The ones that are there on a regular basis, I have told them that they've got to slow down if they are speeding because there have been some complaints in the neighborhood. And I think that has worked, but I have no control over the ones that just come for one delivery and how they speed up through there. But it sounds like the concern mainly is about the deer, and that's one thing that I would hate to see, to wake up and drive down the street and see a deer being killed. So maybe we ought to put up a sign that says deer crossing. I know if I see it on the interstate, I'm always on the lookout for when I see the sign that says deer crossing. That or a speed limit sign, because I didn't know there was a speed limit, and I didn't even never check my speed when I was coming down the hill. But I do watch my speed now that somebody put out a sign that says slow down. And I thought maybe that was directed to me. So I watched my, so I started watching my speed limit on my car when I was going down the hill, because, you know, you wake up and you go out and you don't realize what you're doing and you don't know what the speed limit is there. But I know coming down Salmon Road, it's 45 miles per hour. And that's about it. So that made me learn. And that was, you know, and I have to thank one of the people here for telling me about the deer crossing. And that is a concern. So I really don't like the idea of speed bumps, because I have a car that cannot go over a speed bump because it's not my regular car, my other car, because it is so low. And there's a chance that it'll hit one of the pans underneath, but I could always go the other way if one was put up.
All right. Thank you. Anyone else?
Actually, I haven't seen the deer this year, so it's a turkey problem now.
Oh.
They keep going by. But I haven't seen a bicycle up there in I don't know how many years. Up in front of my house anyway. Skateboards, I've seen a few skateboards. I just, you know, I'm not going to make a big deal out of it and put big signs out next to Route 3 like you guys did. You know, I just wanted to put something in for a little while, maybe let them get the hint and then take it out, because I don't want to ride over it myself. But actually, I was going to put it in front of my house and go the other way. Thanks.
Thank you. There is someone online. Jane, do you have any comments that you'd like to make?
Read her comments into the record.
Yeah, I did read her comments, so. And Abe, is that Lieutenant Gilman? All right. Oh, we gotta wait for the microphone. You weren't off that quick. Your
So if
birthday,
you-
you're not gonna get off that easily.
If you did put a speed bump in temporarily, how long would you leave it in for? So you would put it in what, like in a week or two, and then leave it through the fall and pull it out?
Well, that would be determined by the Public Works Director. I mean, you have an investment that would have to be made. We've been told that the cost is $1,450.
Okay.
I have, in my neighborhood, I have a speed bump, and it goes up in April-ish, May 1st-ish, and it stays up until about like November 1st, Halloween, right before they might be plowing, and that's, you know, they take it down then. So it's temporary in itself. It's not a permanent structure. But you're asking for an investment just to leave up for a couple of weeks. We'll have to, that's something we leave that, we're going to leave that. But for myself, I just got that there's no speed limit sign up there. So
Yeah, I just wanted to get a better understanding of that, so
yeah.
that's why I asked.
It doesn't go to the edge of the road, to the edge of the road. It goes driving part of the road.
Yeah.
Oh, all right, see, I didn't know that either.
Bike, they still could get around it.
We gotta be on microphones, folks. Folks, we have to be on microphones. It's being recorded. Sorry.
All right, so that's what I want to know. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We had some folks walk in. If you have any comments, I'm assuming, are you here for the public hearing on Vista Heights? Okay. Do you have any comments that you'd like to make or questions to ask? Sure. Well, we had a request by a resident to install the speed bumps at Vista Heights. So we're holding this public meeting to hear from the residents of Vista Heights. We did have hand-delivered invitations to the residents. We did have 7 written responses. 6 were against the speed bumps and 1 was in support. We do know that the cost to put in speed bumps would be about $1,450 per the DPW director. So if you do speak, sir, we just need your name and address, please.
Robert Hoy, I live at 25 Dublin Drive, but I own the property at 103 Vista Heights. And there are so many possible other issues in the area. I'm just curious why some of them weren't addressed in this whole process. Whoever requested the speed bump, there are visibility problems. If you come up, when you come up to where you either have to go left or right at the circle, you can't see to the right. I've almost been hit 3 or 4 times. Stop sign might be appropriate. There is no speed limit sign. And if the speed limit is 20, is that a legal speed limit? Can it be enforced is the question.
With the chief spoke earlier before your arrival, and she did mention that they are going to have more of a presence in the area, more directed patrols up in that neighborhood.
But the question is, can the 20-mile-an-hour speed limit be enforced?
Yes, it's not a state road.
Yeah, the 20 mile per hour is the legal speed limit there. First time hearing about it, there isn't actually a sign, but of course, the highway department deals with that, not us, but we'll look into that. And also, I know you were,
sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. Also, I know you were late to the meeting. If you'd like to see any of the data, we did put the speed trailer up, the radars. So we do actually can give you the exact data of what vehicles our speeds are traveling during the time that we collected it, which I know you missed the first part. We're not exceptionally high. The highest during the 6 days, the 197 vehicles that we recorded was 30. And that was one vehicle at 30 and one at 29, and everything else was larger numbers below that. But if you'd like to look at any of the data, I have the printouts for all that if you'd like it.
Yep, I'd appreciate it.
Sure. I do. Sorry, sir. Oh. I'll speak to my dispatcher. Sorry.
Yes, sir.
Dan Jordan again. I think the sign you got up there is working a little bit. I think if you put a sign down at the beginning of the road, 20 miles an hour would work, but I'm not for, spending a lot of money or any money. Taxes went way up the last couple of years.
All right. Yes, sir.
Elijah Haddam, 33 Vista Heights. I'm very much a data-driven person. I would say that the police data indicates that there's more of an awareness problem here than anything else. I think I would agree with what Dan just said, as far as it sounds like we just need a sign that tells people what the speed limit is. I think the increased patrols is a really good idea too. I know my wife and I have enjoyed seeing the police go by more frequently. I really don't think we need to spend almost $1,500 on temporary speed bumps.
Thank you. Anyone else have anything to speak? This gentleman again. We're not going to let you get off easy, Pat. I'm sorry.
Another question is, when did this process?
So you just have to state your name again, just for the record.
Robert Hoy. When did the process start for the speed bumps and the interest in Vista Heights?
Well, the there was a request by a resident. Jeannie, do you know when we received that request? I think it was back in July, maybe late June. But of course, the police department had to get their trailer out there, so it wasn't on a immediate.
Phone call in July. And I brought that to the attention of the selectmen. And then we picked a date to have this hearing, wanting to give people enough time to know about the meeting and attend the meeting. And that's why we picked tonight.
So July 6th was when the select board became aware of it, and we put a process in place, chose this date, and then asked the chief to get the data and things like that. Yes, sir.
My name's Raymond Motch. I live at 25 Silver Lake Road in Tilton. I submitted a petition last January 18th with almost 70 names on it when I walked around the neighborhood during COVID to address with the fact that the speeding on Silver Lake Road it just increases and increases. And I was told we were going to get the sign up there that flashes, says what your speed limit is. And then they couldn't do it earlier because there are no snowbanks were there, but there's no snowbanks now. And I still haven't seen anything addressed to Silver Lake Road. And I'd like to know how come nothing's happened when I submitted a petition in January 18th. And occasionally I see a police car, but that's about it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. So I think that you're aware that I'm been here for 7 weeks, relatively new, and that you all went. Oh no, I'm just trying to explain the whole thing. So you submitted your request, your petition at a time, I think, right at when our previous administration, our previous chief, and their entire command staff departed. So upon my arriving here after they went through some interim leadership, maybe 3 weeks ago, your petition was brought to my attention. And we, at that time, already began increasing our patrols in your neighborhood. I'm not sure if you've actually seen as much as we've been doing, but I could pull some numbers and get them for you if you'd like to contact me with your number.
Excuse me. Already told
We need to speak into the microphone, sir. Okay, but just
at 11 o'clock, 12:30 in the afternoon is not when the issues are happening. It's like between 7 and 8 in the morning and between 3:30 and 4:30 in the afternoon. That's when people are flying by. At 1 or 1:30 in the afternoon, there's the regular people that are driving around and they're not creating the issue. So whatever you can do, we'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, and I just want to let you know, because there's a two-part to your question. You were talking about the trailer, and ironically, the people were asking, can we keep the trailer a little bit longer? And I was saying there were other neighborhoods that wanted it. It's going to your neighborhood next. So that's not just a response because you brought it up. That's actually where it was scheduled to go next. So it will be in your neighborhood very shortly this week. So
Do what you can do.
we absolutely will.
No.
I just want to address Bob's question about what the process was when someone requests a speed bump. In the past, what the board has asked is the need. We look at the need. We ask the chief to put out the trailer to look at the data, look at the speeds, look at how much the traffic was. We did that on Cedar Street. We did that on Daniel Drive, on Deer Street. And we asked for the data first, and then we asked for the public hearing for pros and cons of what the people, because there's a lot of neighborhoods that have asked us for this process. And so we continued it. So as soon as we get a letter, we asked Jeannie to follow up with the chief for the data in the trailer so that we can support when you folks come for a public hearing, so that we can give you that data. And that's why what the process we followed anyway for the last few years.
Yep. Thank you, Pat. You're gonna walk over there and someone's gonna raise their hand. All right. I think so. Is there any other comments from the public? All right. Well, any comments from the Board of Selectmen? John?
One thing to keep in mind that when you do put a speed bump in, when like a pickup truck or something goes over it that has a tire or tire iron in the back, it ba-boom. You can hear that all day or night whenever they do it. So it's, one of those things, if it's a safety thing, you got to do it, but that's something to consider.
Or a truck with ladders.
Trucks with ladders.
I speak from experience on that one.
Yeah, exhaust systems that are can be a little.
It's been extremely effective on Cedar Street and Daniel Drive. You hear from the residents all day long. It's been extremely effective because we have the traffic from the VA, the traffic that comes from Franklin that cuts over Colby, Clock Road, down Winter Street, and then over to Cedar. Well, now they have a speed bump during the summer, which slows that traffic down into the village. So it's been very, very effective. It hasn't been effective that much in other areas. So, I mean, it all depends on your area. Like Vista, it's a cul-de-sac.
If they put it on the right, they'll go left. If they put it on the left, they'll put it on the right. So, or you make it one way. I don't know. All right. Nothing else? Well, I'd like to thank everyone for coming out. We will be taking it up in a discussion at a future point and go over the data with the chief, and then I make the recommendations. And there's some good ideas that we got tonight. The speed limit sign I think was one.
Maybe one of those signs like children playing in road.
Yeah. Yeah.
A lot of those symbols.
Strategically broken down car, anything. So, so thank you everyone for coming out. And we hope you also got a chance to see our nice new police station. So all right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone. Yeah, that's cheaper too.
Signage, yeah. Sounds like a real bad signage problem.
I didn't know there was a 20, not a 20. 20 mile per hour speed.
Hey, thanks.
We'll
start seeing it.
But they're not going
But
fast.
I think you're right. I think you speed limits and children at price. So that's, yep, just put a couple of them in.
Less labor.
I have seen a lot more enforcement over on Silver Lake Road recently, including Bill Patton pulling over several cars, and I don't know if he's giving them tickets or what. There is more enforcement. I see police cars out in the neighborhood. So I don't know if that's because of a new program or.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
So that's. So.
The other, yeah, 190.
By the way, it's also going to be pretty hard.
All right.
That's good.
That was good.
Position someone up there. It's like.
Yeah.
Yeah, all of a sudden it got cold in this room.
No, stop.
Jeannie's got her raincoat on, her rain parka.
Inspector Gadget.
Inspector Gadget. All right, we'll go on here to Selectmen's reports after if we can close that door just a little bit. All right. Selectmen's report. First up, Pat Constantino.
Forgive me because mine's kind of long. Had several meetings, so. The Senior Executive Committee is meeting on the 16th. That's coming up. There was a housing ordinance meeting last week. The next meeting is August 27th at 10 a.m. The one thing the Housing Ordinance Committee has asked me to bring to the board is that they would like the ability to go to a lawyer like Sean in their inspections. They when they go to the inspections, they need someone that write a letter for code violations and so on that's much larger than just a violation like Leanne would write in a violation. It goes beyond that. And in the past, we've used John Chandler. It doesn't have to be, but they want the ability to be able to go out. There's some tough, a couple, 2 or 3 right now that Tim and Catherine and Leanne have identified, and they're going to go out in the inspections, and they anticipate that they'll be needing some type of authority and authoritative letter to be written. So they want the ability to be able to do that.
Joe?
Where does that money come from?
Well, that would, town of Tilton, they'd have to go through.
I know town of Tilton, but where? Because that
Probably
wasn't
legal,
something
right?
that we budgeted for.
Um,
And how much would it be?
Usually
Well,
code it does.
are you expecting I mean, is this,
Like 1 or 2 maybe. They're
But-
expecting. They would first go to you, let you know what's entailed, so on and so forth. This is not a surprise. It wouldn't have to be a surprise. And then you would alert the board, and then,
okay, so
Yep.
it does come back to the board. It's
yes,
not.
absolutely.
Okay.
Yep,
yeah.
absolutely. So I just wanted to, you folks,
Where does that money come from is Joe's
Well-
question that we haven't answered.
where does it come from? Where did we put it before? When Catherine used to go to, when Al used to go to a lawyer, where did it come from? Code?
Code question. Legal.
There is a small health officer administrative line that is rarely used. So that it could be that some of that could be paid out of that. If I remember correctly, those letters were somewhere in the neighborhood of 140 or less usually.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. I attended the Parks Commission meeting the other night, and the Parks Commission would like permission to set up, or ask Tim to set up a temporary Facebook page, so that what they would like to have is a contest, a scarecrow contest throughout the town, and they would like people to post on the Facebook page, and then they would judge from there. So we would like permission for that, just as a temporary page, and then be taken down right after that.
Who would monitor it?
That would be, well, that would be a good question. Eric can monitor it.
If I'm given
He's the ex officio.
it's
Well, so it would be Parks would monitor it, because their Parks are going to be have the judges. So I would imagine the administration would be either Tim or
Anybody could set that up.
Eric. Yeah.
Anybody from the Park Commission could set that up.
Well,
They
we
just
want to
need
set it up with some real stringent restraints on it, I would think.
like what? But you can't really, you can't stop someone from outside of Tilton, say, from looking at a page.
No, but can you set it up without comments? Can you just say post a picture or can you set something up without
Yeah, I mean,
comments?
there's ways to do that. There's ways to do
Moderate.
posts without comments.
I told him that I would just come and ask for the permission and then we could figure it out with Tim and you and figure out the details of what would be allowed, what wouldn't be allowed for the town.
You good
Figured
with
it
that, Mr. Pearson?
What do you think?
Yeah, I can think of a few things. Maybe not, as long as it doesn't have to be Facebook, but could be Facebook. But I've got some ideas.
It doesn't have to be Facebook. They were thinking of different venues. They were also thinking about the web page, but then you would be putting them on the web page and then have separate people judging, you know what I mean? But that would fill up your web page. So it doesn't have to be Facebook.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I've got some ideas. I can
Okay.
talk to Eric about it. Since he-
Okay, that sounds great. All right. As you saw in Cindy's email, all the taxes are paid, so there's no deeding this year. Yay. Thank you, Scott, for going out, knocking on the doors with us. The Christmas parade is December 4th. And one other thing is a reminder, Tim, would you please help me with the numbers for the MOU for the senior bus, because they're starting to call from Northfield. This week alone, we got 6 calls for people for rides and we can't pick them up yet. I think we talked about the bike posse and the young gentleman that we spoke with. The chief's already gone over that. There were a couple issues at the senior center that were corrected, and so thank you, Kevin. One was the assembly inspection, and they found a couple of batteries on the exit, the doors on the exit. So those batteries had to be replaced, and Kevin took care of those. I think that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, Scott Ruggles.
So I would like to take my time to go over something that I'd been thinking about for a while, and then the beach brought some clarity to it last week. I think because of her never-ending dedication to the seniors in this community and the work that she's done over the years to bring the senior center to fruition, I would like to make a motion to name the senior center in honor of Selectman Patricia Constantino.
Jessamine second.
Any discussion?
It's a big move, but without Pat Constantino, I don't know if that building would exist in the form it is today. There were a lot of people, Tom Gallant, Jane Alden, a lot of people. But without Pat's drive to get the senior center going, it wouldn't be like it is. And so I would support that move. Although I wouldn't put it down as Selectman Patricia Constantino. I would just put it down as Patricia Constantino.
Pat, please.
Pat's place. They can nickname it whatever they want.
I like that. I like the idea.
Where we go get the money for the plaque?
Yeah, we'll make her fundraise for it. She could make the plaque.
I will.
Pat, would you make the plaque?
Don't misspell the name.
I will pay for
No, I
the
think
plaque.
that's, definitely it wouldn't be there. I can remember, I guess, 8, 9, 10 years ago, saying how much it's gonna cost. It was like $5, and we're gonna come up with the money. We're gonna raise the money. We're gonna get it through donations. And every week, I look on this, $30 here, $50 there. Just the way the community appreciates all of it, and keeping it going, and just, going in there, beautiful building. They maintain it meticulously, and it's all they're doing, Pat. Really is. You spearheaded it, and you didn't just spearhead it and stop. You kept it going, and you set a good example for everybody.
Wow. Well, I'll say that I was at a recent event that you were there for, and watching you move around that building, it was like showing off like a kid showing off their baseball card collection. You were just showing off. You knew everything about that building. It was cool. And a lot of people complimented on the building. Any other discussion? All those in favor of Scott's motion, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes.
Happy birthday.
Thank you, folks. I am truly, truly, truly honored. I don't know the words. You have stymied me.
You shut her
But-
up. I can't believe it.
You have, from the bottom of my heart, thank you. It's always been a passion of mine, and it's something that I truly believe in, and thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you.
Anything else, Mr. Reynolds?
I'm all set.
Well, that was a good one. All right.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah. Joe, top that.
No, I don't know where that came from, but I'm really happy to be able to second it. That's for sure. We had the concert last week, and for those of you who were there, you know that we got deluged about 7 p.m. Everybody was running for the bridge. But we did manage to return another $220 worth of food sales to the concert. So we're in just about $750. So hallelujah. My goodness, if we hadn't missed the 3, we'd be doing really good. And thank you to everybody who's come out for that. The weather's supposed to be good this weekend. So come on down. And I move my time to you, Eric.
All right. Thanks, Joe. I'll bring it up again because I bring it up every week. It's a hobby. Parking at the end of the sidewalk, blocking the porta potty. This week it was a trailer attached to a vehicle. Well, that trailer was there early in the afternoon, so I'm assuming it was part of the band.
It was a band.
So when I drove by, the officer was wasn't out at the road, so he must have been in at the concert. But
No, there was no officer this week.
okay,
Didn't have one, no.
all right. So that's that.
Not sure what happened with that.
All right. I'll just bring it up because in 3 more weeks it'll be over.
The porta potties were better on the plus side.
All right. Well,
Not great.
good
They
that they
were
couldn't
still
get to us.
porta
They're
potties.
still
but-
porta potties, but we have the finest porta potties money can rent. I'm going to bring up another issue. I see that, not to single him out, but Mr. Jessman has worn a mask this evening. So it brings up, and as you go around to different places, more and more people are masking up. And I did not know if we should bring up the issue or put it more closer on our radar for town hall. Any requirements, changing the policy, but I'll just bring it up if anyone had any thoughts. I don't have a thought either way. I went to the bank. I went to one bank. They wear masks now. I went to another bank. They don't wear masks now. So I'm confused. So I just didn't know if we should think about that for our staff at town hall. And I don't have any skin in the game.
I do agree with you. I think there are a lot of businesses that are returning to wearing masks. I think there's a lot of corporations. The buses are now returning to use the masks in and out and about the office themselves. We're required to do it. Where we weren't required, they had stopped it. So now we are. So I think it's worth looking into. I don't think right now.
I've seen some businesses have, if you're vaccinated, you don't need to wear it. If you're unvaccinated, you have to wear it.
How do you know?
Well, that's what I
ran
don't
into
know.
that today.
I don't know. Like I go in a
The honor system.
Market Basket in next to my work, and they now have two signs. One says, unvaccinated, wear masks. Not, but again, it's an honor system.
Right.
So I'm gonna do that. And then my next one's, I guess, more for Jeannie, but it's also for the board. Did Catherine Tobine reach out to you about a joint meeting? So if you remember a couple of weeks ago, maybe a month ago, we had Chief Goldman from Lakes Region Mutual Fire Aid. The town of Northfield is pressuring the commissioners to make a decision. It's not a decision that the fire commissioners can make alone. So we are going to we're asking, and I think Catherine maybe went on vacation, so that might be why. But to have a meeting between the Tilton Board of Selectmen, the Northfield Board of Selectmen, and the Tilton Northfield Fire Commissioners to figure out, because the decision that has to be made affects everyone. There's an additional cost and things like that. So, because the question is, do both towns give up their seat and the fire district become the member of the Lakes Region Mutual Fire Aid? Or do you allow Northfield to petition to withdraw and do that? Are you grabbing the microphone?
So I had expressed to this board the sentiments of our attorney, because I was asked to have our attorney look into it, and basically said that even the body of the legislative body of the Tilton Northfield Fire District cannot, they can suggest to the commissioners that they want to be a member, but the commissioners ultimately have the authority, and they don't have to follow what the legislative body wants. John Radigan had done some extensive work on this. I had provided him the bylaws. So I don't know what's changed.
Well, there's the town of Northfield wishes to withdraw.
And if they want to withdraw, then I don't know.
Correct, but then that creates a possible situation. Back, I think it was in 2017 or 2018. There was a warrant, or it was a petition article, and Tilton rejected it, and Northfield. It had to be passed by both towns, and Northfield approved it. Tilton rejected it. The issue is, what happens if they want to go vote to withdraw? It creates all sorts of issues for the fire department because of communications. But the board, we decide that because of the financial impact that would come Tilton's way, that we're looking for input, because if we say, okay, you can withdraw, and we couldn't come up with a clear, concise decision.
But this, I don't know how this board could tell another board what they could do, just like.
Well, you can withdraw. The town of Tilton can withdraw just I don't know if the right word is petition, or say to the Lakes Region Mutual Fire Aid, we would like to withdraw, and we would like, in a combined letter from both boards of selectmen, saying that we would like the Tilton Northfield Fire Department to become the member.
the Tilton Northfield Fire Department or the fire district?
Fire district.
So, I didn't realize we were going to have this discussion, or else I would have brought the paperwork, the work that had been done on this. Unless Tilton is thinking about withdrawing, and I didn't get that sense, but I guess
Well, that's the
short
issue.
answer.
I know that Tilton doesn't want to withdraw.
So for me, I would say the short answer is certainly yes. If you want to meet with the Tilton Northfield Fire District and the Northfield Selectmen, have a joint meeting and discuss it, it's never going to hurt to have communication. I will go back and pull up the documentation that I had provided to the board before about what the attorney had advised, because I don't have that in front of me.
Right.
But ultimately, if that's what you want to do.
Right. Well, there's financial impact on either town, is because there's a radio system that if each town withdrew, it's 25,000 or closer to $26,000.
was going to say that in effect, because of the percentage that we pay of the fire district in Tilton, it would increase our costs for the service.
Right.
So what you're saying is if they withdraw, it's going to be an increased cost to us because they're withdrawing, and it's going to be an increased cost to all the other towns and cities too.
Potentially, yes.
Potentially, correct?
Right.
But then even more so than that, our burden, because we become the district, becomes even a greater cost to us if we become the district. That's what you're saying?
Yes.
Above and beyond.
No matter what happens, if Northfield withdraws, it places a greater burden on the town of Tilton.
Above and beyond just what the other towns and cities are experiencing?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Gotcha.
You would have, instead of 35 members, you'd have 34. So their fixed cost that gets divided by 35 now gets by 34. If the one option was to have both towns submit their invoice that they get and have the fire department pay that, again, because of the way the expenses for the fire department are figured out, it places a higher burden on the town of Tilton.
Well, wasn't there a safety issue about dispatching? They're still going to dispatch, and who knows if whoever's doing the dispatching for Northfield dispatches at the same time?
Yes.
So how are we going to figure that out? Because now that's a dual cost for Tilton.
Well, depending on how you look at it, you could look at it as Northfield's trying to force our hand.
Well, let's not go into that portion of it. If the town of Northfield withdraws from Lakes Region Mutual Fire Dispatch,
Yep.
Okay, mutual aid, and we stay in it as the district, let's say there's a call, okay, that comes.
No, we stay in it as the town.
We stay in it as the town of Tilton,
right. And
there's a call in Northfield.
Yep.
Tilton gets dispatched. Tilton Northfield Fire District gets dispatched, and their dispatches also.
That's the issue.
Yeah. So now
it's a public safety issue, because if that happens in that scenario, if let's say the next closest district, I don't think they want to switch. They just don't want to pay the bill. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah,
it's not the dispatch that they don't want to change out of the mutual fire.
Well, I get that loud and clear, but why isn't the town of Tilton addressing the safety issues of the dispatching, the safety portion of it now with the dispatching? Because if you get somebody from their company dispatching and then we dispatch, now your increased costs are like this because they're
They're paying for their dispatch.
Right. Northfield,
we're gonna be paying also
Extra for hours.
when they've already dispatched. So we're gonna be paying again.
gonna pay.
No.
Well, in the worst case scenario, let's just say Northfield had to go to Capital Dispatch, Concord.
Right.
So there was an accident at the bike park.
Mm-hmm.
They would call, and then now the fire department would have to carry 2 different radio systems. So they get dispatched over there. Lakes Region Mutual Fire Aid is not going to know that they're over at the bike park.
Who's gonna pay for the two radio systems? We pay
But that's-
66% of that. That's what I'm trying to say.
That's what they're trying to do. Is
Well,
they're trying to get.
and
to
we're
only
gonna pay
a
for that.
third, But they pay more than that now.
Then that's what we
But
need
they
to-
actually pay more for dispatching services than the town of Tilton.
They're forcing us, if they leave and they go to Capital, let's say Capital Dispatch, okay? Now every fire truck or every vehicle has to have their radio frequency and their radio equipment on their trucks. Who's paying for that? We have to pay for it too, because we pay 66% of the bills.
Why would we have to interface with them? Why wouldn't they have to interface with us? We're
own the
already
trucks.
we're an established department. Just because Northfield wants to change dispatchers doesn't mean we have to change all of our equipment.
No, we
to
don't have to
accommodate
change.
that.
We don't change, but the issue is if Northfield is on a different dispatching system,
right,
that does not communicate with Lakes Region Mutual Fire Aid. So if at 12 o'clock, they get
Right.
dispatched to an emergency in Northfield,
right,
and then at 12:02, they get dispatched to an emergency in Tilton, Lakes Region Mutual Fire Aid doesn't know that they're already on a call in Northfield, so there's no one responding to that second call.
correct. And how are you gonna know that? I think we need to get the attorney involved in this because this is gonna be a safety issue for they're forcing
Well, they're
our
trying to force
hand
us
in
to
that
pay, they're
safety.
trying to pay, they're
pay-
trying to force us to pay more.
That's correct,
If
in
you look
more
at it.
ways than one.
Okay, I get it.
You see where we're getting it now?
Yeah, I get
So-
it.
I'll talk to, I think she went on vacation, so I'll have her talk.
So we really need our attorney involved in this, Jeannie.
Well, he's already been involved in it, but I'm happy to go back to him and I guess present. I mean, he's already aware of the situation because he already responded once, but Eric, you started out the conversation saying, should Tilton and Northfield and the Tilton Northfield Fire District have a joint meeting? Is Northfield even interested in meeting?
Well, there was one, she's gonna talk to each town administrator. There was one representative of the Northfield Board of Selectmen there. But, you know, he was kind of saying he would, you know, be okay with that, but he was one, not the entire board. That's why the town administrators were presented to each of their Board of Selectmen, so. I only meant to, I didn't mean to go off the deep end on
I'd be
it,
in
but-
favor of it.
But we have to figure out something.
We need to figure that out before it happens because we need to be prepared. Otherwise, we're going to be paying a hefty price, not only in dispatching, but in equipment that they're going to be putting on the trucks for their dispatching.
Yep.
A lot of scenarios there.
There's a lot of scenarios. All right. I'm done. I did enough damage today. John?
Not a lot really going on during the summer. The ongoing thing with the roots protecting the roots on the trees from all the wear and tear with the people walking on the island. So the Steve Forrester is coming over, no
Tomorrow,
charge.
right?
Yeah, tomorrow morning, 9:30. Take a look at the island. A couple other people that want to meet with them, ask them some questions. Kevin's coming down, and Austin, Paul Rushlaw.
Are you going to be able to attend that, Tom?
Plan is for the, taking care of the roots and the trees. I also noticed directly opposite the park, Mill Park. I brought it up a few months ago about big limb hanging over the road. I don't know if
yeah.
anybody's looked at, I brought it up actually twice before. There's a limb hanging out of the soldiers, where the soldiers monument is, hanging over towards the park over the road. Well, chunks of that have been falling on the road, but now the whole tree is all.
Who would remove that?
I think have him take a look too. Urban forester knows.
Yeah.
And it's all free. That will be 9:30 tomorrow. Get something out of it. But
I forgot one thing, Eric.
All right, we'll circle back to Pat.
The Friday after our last meeting, I called the Labor Department and asked about the logistics on Cindy Reinhart's and the years of employment. And I gave the scenario I spoke. They put me up the line in several different people, and I finally got to speak to somebody named Michelle. And she said there's no specific laws governing employees and elected officials and employees. However, being that we have been treating her as an employee with timesheets and giving her paid time off and benefits, that person, there's no RSA governing that. I just did say that. However, that person has a really good civil suit against us if we decide not to grant her paid time off. So having said that, I just want you folks an FYI on that. There are several people in the state of New Hampshire that have been in a very similar situation and that have done exactly that and won. And that's what she said.
I have a question.
Mhm.
Did you call as a board member or as a member of the public?
Select board, selectmen.
Is this non-public personnel legal?
Non-public, it's an elected official.
She's elected.
Well, you're saying, at the same time, you're saying she's covered by a actual employee. So is she an employee?
It's,
or an elected?
excuse me, it's really, it's not about elected or personnel, but I think to what John was saying is litigation. So litigation would be a non-public conversation.
If we were talking about litigation.
You were.
Oh, I'm just giving you some facts. We can discuss it in non-public.
Well, it's, I guess my concern is you called under the authority of the Tilton Board of Selectmen, and who gave you the authority to call and represent the Tilton Board of Selectmen?
Nobody gave me the authority to call as a board of selectmen. I said, I am Pat Constantino. I happen to be a selectman in the town of Tilton. I have a question. So I wanted an answer. I got my answer. Didn't make a decision.
Who did you call exactly?
Department of Labor.
I just think there's future ramifications that could have been considered for making that phone call. Triggering a Department of Labor audit where,
Non-public.
well, I don't know. Is it non-public? Is it not non-public? I mean,
You're talking about litigation, that would be non-public. I think what you're talking about here is, if I understand, you're asking one selectman calling, representing the board. I think that's what he was asking.
well,
Yeah, he did ask that, but I didn't represent the board. I represented Pat Constantino.
you just said you were,
I did my research on something that I wanted an answer on. So I did.
but you
I'm
just,
giving you the answer.
but you just said that you told the person that you were a member of the Board of Selectmen. So versus just calling up and say, hey, my name's Pat Constantino. I want this question answered.
Yeah.
But you didn't. You mentioned that you were a representative of the Board of Selectmen. That's my concern.
That she was a selectman, not a representative.
Well, but she,
That's two
representing.
different things.
I
Because she wasn't representing me.
I didn't go in there saying that, the board wants me to find this question out. I wanted to let them know that I was acting on my own. I wanted this question answered. So,
There's no cost to the town. Not like she went out and got a legal opinion and the town is now being charged for it. She has no authority to do that.
no, but I just think that throwing in there that you're a selectman, because audits are triggered by complaints. So you go into a future thing.
well, I would only worry about an audit if we were doing something wrong.
Yeah, I don't think we are doing something wrong.
I don't think so either, but it's just that having gone through an audit, and it was an audit that was triggered before I even got there. So
Well, nonetheless, I've already spoken to this issue.
all right. Anyone else have anything to say on the issue? All right, we'll move on. We have 15 minutes. Can you do a town administrator's report in 15 minutes? We can. Oh, Joe, you need to sign that one. Is this all done? Oh,
So you all
Yeah.
received. Did you want me to go?
I don't know. I didn't hear what Pat said. I'm sorry.
We'd have cake
I-
in 15
Oh, we could have
minutes.
cake in 15 minutes, she said.
Oh,
but-
doesn't matter to
No,
me.
Doesn't matter. It was just teasing.
You can have,
Cake actually
can-
sounds good.
you can have cake while I'm giving you my report. That way,
No, I want to make a big deal of this.
big deal.
Sing the song and everything.
No, no, no.
Oh,
no,
yes,
no,
yes.
No.
Yes, and I'll lead it.
Go ahead, Jeannie.
Okay, so there are a couple action items, more than a few, I guess. The Governor's Advisory Commission on Intermodal Transportation needed to be rescheduled to October 25th, and we had agreed on an earlier date. I just wanted to make the board aware of that and make sure you're okay with that date. I don't need a vote, just consensus.
That's gonna find. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Next, a citizen brought forward a concern about crossing with a wheelchair on the crosswalk across from Route 3 at Cumberland Farms to the bridge at the island. I reported this, even though we didn't have a meeting last week. I did give you a report and mentioned this. the citizen says there's no accessible slope to get on the sidewalk. I did talk to Kevin to have him take a look. He said that there is a wheelchair ramp about 40 feet on either side of the bridge crosswalk, and relocating the crosswalk to line up with one of the ramps might be the solution. I would think we'd have to have a discussion with DOT about this, but that is Kevin's suggested solution.
Pat has a question.
We had a discussion with DOT a few years back when when we repaired the bridge, and there is no feasible way that we could put in a wheelchair ramp closer than what's there right now because of the way they exit on and exit off and on the sidewalk. There is no sidewalk in some areas. And so the 40-foot, where it says 40 foot on either side of the bridge and crosswalk was the only way we could have the ramp. And that was when we had to redo the footing on the wood on the bridge when somebody fell through it. We had DOT come and assess also the sidewalk and the wheelchair. So Kevin's assessment is absolutely correct on that. And that was DOT's assessment. We couldn't go onto the state road with the wheelchair.
So is there something the board would like to do, take action on this? Do you want?
Well, I think you would want to try to get it accessible so that if someone's coming from the Cumberland Farms, you got it. So I guess for me, look at DOT and see what they say.
Okay.
Yes.
Does everyone agree with that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. Next item, Silver Lake Group is asking if the town would consider earmarking some of the ARPA funds to get a feasibility study done for a dam at Silver Lake. The lady I spoke to said it cost about $1 million for a feasibility study. And after that, it would cost about $5 million to build a dam. She did go to Belmont and ask them to earmark some of their funds, but was advised that their $750,000 that they were receiving had already been earmarked for another project. She also went last week to Belknap County to ask them to fund the feasibility study. And in her conversation before she met with them, she was asked, well, what is Belmont and Tilton? Are they going to put in any money? And that's why she called the town of Tilton to find out if we would. The Belknap County is receiving $11 million in ARPA funds. So it sounds like from what she's telling me, Belmont's not going to put any money for a feasibility study. Belknap County is looking for some kind of skin in the game, if you will, from the two communities. And it doesn't sound like they're going to get it from Belmont. And so the question is, does Tilton want to take any of its $350,000 to put towards this feasibility study?
John?
Part of the thing is that state has jurisdiction over the waters in that, and it's between two towns. We'd have to go to the legislative body to go and put that much money aside for a feasibility study of it. So I don't think we can really just earmark money of the taxpayers' money to spend on looking into a rubber dam or bridge, or a dam there. There's a lot more to it.
Anyone else?
I live on Silver Lake, and I went to the meeting that the Silver Lake Association had with the Department of Environmental Services. The first of many to come, no doubt. And they're trying to get funding from any number of different places. It impacts Tilton residents as much as it does Belmont residents for sure, but it does affect Tilton residents. Everybody along the Ashalot Drive neighborhood there. Jerry Shaley owns a bunch of property. Catherine Dawson owns a bunch of property, and there's flooding of basements, and it's a real situation for them. I'm not sure how much money. Well, I'd like to hear the list of potential. I think we do have skin in the game. We have taxpayers who are greatly affected by this, and it's only a certain amount of people, and I understand that. And but as far as these monies from ARPA, I think is the acronym. I'd like to take a look at some kind of a token at the very least. We can't pay $1 million, God knows. And I'm surprised that Belmont isn't more. We've already allocated our 750, but I don't know what their situation is, so I shouldn't even speak to that. But I'd like to discuss it at some point when we see what our list looks like.
And I think we'd also need to determine whether
it fits
it's an
within
eligible project. Right?
Yeah, right. There is that as well. There's things that you can't spend it on. Right. I'd love to buy police cars with that money, but that's not on the list, I don't think.
Unless they go underwater. I don't know.
I was. Give them any ideas.
I don't want to vote.
Yes, one of my concerns was that when we looked at, when we were just to replace something as simple as blocks on the island, we had to go to both towns that, would be affected by it. And we had to have both of them have warrant articles, and they both had to approve to even looking into it.
I remember.
Yeah.
Yes. It took, I think, about 8 years of work until finally we had to actually purchase the island. And then now we can start to look at it. So I think there is more in the legislative process that has to be done other than just the Board of Selectmen saying,
oh, no,
we want to earmark that money. But we might want
I
to
agree.
double check on that.
I agree.
And it's state waterway, and
well, the state would have to pay for the dam and what have you if it went that way. We have state representatives working on this issue as well. Juliet Harvey Balea is working on our behalf, as well as the representative that represents Belmont was there as well. So they're trying to find funding.
I think one of the big things is to try and get the Dam Bureau to really actively manage that and consider the interests of Silver Lake and Winnisquam when they're doing their releases from all the lakes, to look at the whole picture all the way down through Franklin, and not just make sure that each other lake, depending on size, has more priority as to monitoring.
It's not like that. The process isn't like that. If Lake Winnipesaukee is 9 inches above flood level, the water has to go right through downtown Tilton ultimately. And no matter how much Silver Lake recharges itself, the quantity of water in Silver Lake recharges itself more than once a day. Because there's a blockage up at the place where Silver Lake vents out into the river that goes behind the diner and McDonald's and whatever. And there's just no way to control that flow. It doesn't drain quickly enough, so it pushes the banks of Silver Lake. The lake's up 4 feet, 5 feet. It's a thing. And having a dam there would certainly be a help with water control all year long and maintaining the flow. But I don't know, not in my lifetime, probably.
All right. Any other discussion?
So was that your 15 minutes?
No, we got 5 minutes.
So So at this point, we're just gonna hold off on this?
Put it on the list and we'll see
Okay.
Yeah, let's see what else is on our ARPA list.
that we can actually spend money
Right.
on.
I spoke with Kevin Russell from the New Hampshire DOT regarding the reconstruction reclassification of the Caleb Hill Road, the 1.97 miles. As you know, 3.2 million was appropriated for this project. And when I talked to him a week or so ago, they were going to draw up a project agreement. Now, I know there was one done in 2016, which he sent me, so he hasn't gotten that new updated project agreement to me yet. I called him the other day and they were still working on it. I think probably some of you have been out on Caleb Hill Road. I took a drive out, seeing the condition of the road, and it looks like it's in pretty good condition. And I did ask Kevin about that. I said, well, because at the end of the day, if this project goes forward, the town will have to take over the road. They will be responsible for it. So I said to Kevin, well, why would they take it over? The road looks like it's in good shape right now, and it's gone through 1 or 2 winters. And he said that's only designed to last maybe 3 to 5 years. So eventually it's going to break down again. What he also said was that, and I understand Joyce had worked on this, I think, and gotten quotes or bids from 3 or 4 different engineering companies. So there's a lot of work that has to be done. Kevin did want me to know that, or the board to know that we do need to have somebody, actually probably should have 2 people LPA certified, and I can't think of the acronym right now, but I did send, if you recall, Leanne went through that certification. So she is certified, but Kevin recommended that I get certified as well. He said it's going to be a big project and the board or the town should be aware of that because it's got to be municipally owned and it's a lot of time and effort. So it's not going to be a small project. The 350,000 that they've set aside for the engineering plans, the start of the fiscal year for 2022 starts in October 1st. So that's when we can start spending the money, that 350 for the engineering. But the bottom line is, I think Leanne and I need to go down and meet with DOT to actually go through what's going to be required and the process so that I'm very clear on it. He has sent me, documentation about all the things that are going to be required to have this project happen. And what I don't know, and I'm not clear on, because the last we discussed this was that DOT had told us that we needed to get with Lakes Region Planning Commission to get the plan updated. What's it going to cost for this project? Is going to be more than $3.2 million. And if so, the town, you recall, we tried to do a warrant article. We never actually got it on the warrant last year. So that may be something if the engineering company that we choose comes back and says it's going to be, I don't know, 5 million, the town is going to have to, make up that difference, whatever that is.
Most of that project is drainage. Whole bottom
Well, what they
going around it, there's the engineering to drainage on some of the areas, going up 3 different areas where they had the prior commissioner ride in well, you were there when you were senator, where the rock was sticking up.
Right.
Then there was drainage on that area. They said it needed to be engineered because there was no footing, no banking off of it because it was private property going down by where Elsie Daniel lived, going around the corner opposite Pest House in that area.
So I just wanted to make you aware of where we're at with that project. And if I assume you're going to want to go forward with this project. I've heard some on Caleb Hill Road that they don't think we need to have it. I've heard mixed kind of comments on that, but it's going to be a big chunk of my time to manage this project. So
We no longer have the authority to bond for that project, do we? We
well,
got it at one time,
we
but
we had it
expired.
and it lasted for 5 years, which is why we were trying to put another warrant article on last year, and we didn't get that done. If you remember, there were some conversations with people on Caleb Hill Road who were saying, we don't need to do this. We don't want to do this. And so the warrant article never actually got done. So what I'm saying is that, and again, I need to talk to DOT, actually meet with them and go through everything about the project. But I think that we are going to have to, in March of 2022, have a warrant article for whatever that amount might be.
Jeannie, why would it, I'm sorry.
But table this for now, because we're past 7:30.
Sure.
Yeah, let's
Put
get
that
let's get on with the festivities.
All right.
All right. I tried to get you ahead, Gene. All right. So the time being 7:32, we are going to have the swearing in ceremony for Jordan Smith. And Selectman Ruggles is performing the swearing in. You've got the coat.
Take a picture.
The alumni? Yeah. Oh, okay. No, we're doing the swearing in. Well, what, I guess we are until people get settled in and.
Picture. Oh, we're going to move this over.
I saw you today.
We're supposed to talk about it.
Walking across.
Much shit to do. I'm thinking of doing these after this. That's so far my tenure. I'm gonna wait till next year. I'll hire. I wish. No, I feel like it's good. We have some sets, one of the guys that were actually put in today. So I can give this to her, just tell her when it's time. They'll say, do you want her to stand? Do you want her to stand? So. All right. Good. I mean, the good thing, okay. White already? So we all ready? Oh, we gotta wait 1 second, all right? Oh, yeah, that happens. I saw Pat go out there and whack the car to set it off. I'm trying to delay the birthday thing. Person back? She's right here. Oh, okay. Or did you announce him? Oh, yeah, so, sorry. All right. So Selectman Scott Ruggles is going to do the swearing in of Jordan Smith as the newest Tilton police officer. To the inhabitants of the town of Tilton, in the county of Belknap and the state of New Hampshire. Whereas there is a vacancy in the position of full-time police officer in the town of Tilton, and whereas we, the subscribers, have confidence in your ability and integrity to perform the duties of said office, do hereby appoint you, Jordan A. Smith, to the position of full-time police officer for the town of Tilton, New Hampshire, which shall be effective as of August 23rd, 2021. And whereas upon your taking the oath of office and having this appointment and the certificate of said oath of office recorded by the town of Tilton, the Tilton town clerk, you shall have the powers, perform the duties, and be subject to the liability of such office until another person shall be chosen and qualified in your stead. Please raise your right hand. Repeat after me. I, Jordan A. Smith, do solemnly swear that I will faithfully and impartially discharge and perform all of the duties incumbent on me as a full-time police officer for the town of Tilton, New Hampshire, according to the best of my abilities, agreeably to the rules and regulations of the United States Constitution and the laws of the state of New Hampshire. So help me God. Congratulations. There you go.
Oh, hey, hey, what is?
I don't know. You have to, I don't know.
Behind there. Oh, right there. Being simple. All right, I will go over my, oh, right here, huh? Ah, you're a sweet man.
Did I say that?
It's your birthday, you're allowed.
It's fine, man. I got my fingerprint in. Take it out.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you.
I wasn't just.
Thank you.
Oh, just hold, come up. I'm not going any more background stuff, though. They will. They're ready to hurt me. It's in real true. Okay.
Ray doesn't talk to me like this all the time.
I'm gonna take that one back. Woman. Hey, he comes out after it's still. I'll send these to you too. Yeah, 70, you filtered all of that? It's been a long time. So I'll leave it on your thing. 15 more minutes. It's
See you on the 23rd.
Thank you.
Good to see you.
Yeah. This is when he was at Mr. Brady. Yeah. So, yeah. Yeah. Correct, yeah. What day you start?
Down in the t-shirt, I see, yeah.
No, not the t-shirt. I still got the collar on.
All right. Are we doing the cake cutting?
Yeah, let's energize
How
before
much
we go.
more we got?
Well, we got non-public.
I know, but we can eat cake in non-public.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, 7:45, we're supposed to be in non-public, which we're at 7:49. We're pretty good right now.
The sunset's gorgeous out there.
Is it?
Yeah.
You're looking at. I want to see what there is to see.
You'll call.
Oh, yeah,
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, it's worth getting up, Pat.
It's UFO, Pat.
I can get up now because I had it in. Get up and down. The last couple of weeks, it's been. hell. Now I can.
You aren't doing anything.
Good thing we didn't get donuts. They'd never leave.
No.
By 9:30.
All right.
I'll probably be in Utica, New York. I'm taking my oldest back to school.
I'm Ron.
We're
All right.
on.
Helping her move in the apartment. My youngest.
We're going to resume our meeting. Sorry.
So, yeah, we're leaving at 5.
Thank you very much. Congratulations.
Bye. Congratulations. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
I would, trust me, I'm packed
All right.
Looking at the routes and driving the New York State Thruway, because that's going down.
It is
tomorrow.
7:51. I'd like to make a motion to enter non-public session per RSA 91-A:3, Roman numeral 2A, the dismissal, promotion, or compensation of any public employee, or the disciplining of such employee, or the investigation of any charges against him or her, unless the employee affected, one, has a right to a public meeting, and two, requests that the meeting be open, in which case the request shall be granted. We expect to be back in the public session at approximately
11 p.m.
8:45 p.m. Do I have a second?
Constantino, second.
Roll call vote.
Constantino, yes.
Jessamine, yes.
Pyra, yes.
Struggles, yes.
Scanlon, yes.
All right, we are in non-public session at
This conference will now be recorded.
non-public minute, seal the minutes of the non-public minutes session number 1 and number 2 of August 12th, 2021, because the reasons justifying the need for the non-public session still remain. Just 1 second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Now we can go and resume our town administrator report.
We left off on the discussion about Caleb Hill Road. I don't think there's really much more to discuss until I get the project agreement from the DOT. I just wanted to kind of brief you on what was going on. So unless somebody has any questions, I'll just move on to the next.
Well, just in the history of it, they'll put that skim coat on, and then it will turn really, really, really bad after about 3 years, to a point where it's almost unpassable. There's some box. And that's why
it's School Street.
Right. You're talking about what they've done already.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, they
and
do
that's-
this every
Right,
couple
and that-
years.
And that's what, when I talked to Kevin, he said it's only going to last 3 to 5 years, and then you're going to be back to having to fix that road, which is why he's saying you really need to do this, reclaim and reconstruct and reclaim the
They
road.
gotta get
Oh,
some
yeah.
dynamite out there.
Yeah.
I never vote to accept that road if they don't do it right.
Okay. Next item, Parks Commission had requested a list of business emails from the town so that they could solicit funds and publicize the event. I couldn't find any policy, didn't know if you had a practice or a policy about releasing business address or emails to committees, commissions, or boards for fundraising purposes or public publicity. So I didn't want to really do that until I had the discussion with you.
Really have a policy. I think they moved on from that, but I don't think we've had a policy or procedure. It's something to think about, though,
Well, they wanted to be able to,
for Christmas parade.
for the Christmas parade.
For floats, yeah.
Yeah. And I think, is it Marina had a list,
List, right,
but no one's been able to reach out to her
right.
and make contact to get that list from her. So now we're starting at ground zero.
Well, you know who had a list, and that was from last year during budget. If you remember, Deb Shepherd came to the budget committee because I think somebody on the budget committee had asked to see who the people were
About for
that,
Old Home Day.
right.
Yes.
So that I gotta believe is somewhere.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm not sure if, if we have people's email addresses, if we should be giving them out. If they're emailing us on town official business, if we should be sharing that
I think
as
it's
a
just,
public
I think
mailing list.
it's the businesses from the database, I think, right? Our email is,
No, the request was to get all the business emails that we have in the town. So I don't have
well,
any.
I don't know.
So I would, Leanne has a list, but I don't know that that's something.
I have a work around it, a workaround
Sure.
thought. It's just a thought I just came to, if we put on the town website that we're looking for sponsors, whether it be a resident, there must be a spot we can put something in and harvest that information and use it, it goes, equivalent of something like a Survey Monkey. I'm sure I can find something, but a place where we can get that information. And this way, it's not the town giving it, it's people voluntarily giving us that information and providing for that.
I think that's a good idea.
So I will research that and communicate with Tim. Tim and I are gonna spend some time together, I think, so.
I think that going forward is a place where you can ask the businesses if they would like to have a contact email to be contacted about participating, hosting.
Newsletters, you can
donating,
do it for
something like that.
newsletters.
Community event.
Old fashioned way.
Knocking on the door is really the.
Yep.
You can do that because most of the time you're not getting to someone that is, yeah, you can go down to, Susie's Beauty Shop and do it, but you go to Hobby Lobby,
Where's Susie?
it's going to get lost up the corporate ladder.
Yeah, I think with the larger businesses, the Planet Hondas, et cetera, finding out who their community outreach person is, and being able to do that. But you're right. You go to the beauty salons that's walking in and just saying hi, but they may also like a knock on the door email, say, hey, we're going to be coming around during X week just to see if there's any level of interest.
So if I understand correctly from the board, what I'm hearing is that Eric is going to work with Tim on putting something on the website, asking people to, if they're interested in sponsoring on the parade, and going forward, that when Leanne and Land Use collects emails, there will be some kind of question that says, are you interested or are you willing to be contacted for community events or that sort of thing. So they're actually opting into us contacting
You're getting their
them.
permission where
Yes.
a lot of times if I give my email address, I don't want to be approached by any of your affiliates.
Right. Does the board agree with that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Variable sign, now accepting sponsors.
Yep.
The next item, porta potty cleaning. So I checked.
From emails to porta potties. Here we go.
Same subject, so.
I did check with Byron's about the cleaning, and they can do additional cleaning at $75 per portable toilet. The cleaning is typically done on Thursdays, sometimes Friday mornings, but they have no Sunday cleaning. So for the board, it's really, do you want to get an additional clean with these porta potties for the remainder of the concert series or until the toilets are removed for the season? And they explained to me in an email that because it is in such a public location, and Pat could probably speak to this because she experienced it just the other day, because it is in such a public location, you're getting the public using it and you're getting what you're getting. And they don't come out on Sunday to clean, so I don't know how you solve that problem for the Sunday night concert.
Do they come out on Saturday?
No, they said
Okay. Well, you
they
said no
do.
Fridays, no Sundays, but I didn't know Saturdays.
Just no Sundays.
They said
Sometimes Friday mornings.
Thursday, sometimes Friday mornings. So then you've got all day Friday, all day Saturday, and the concert's on Sunday.
I mean, it's nice to have them out there for the public. A lot of people really appreciate it.
Well, obviously.
But they don't,
Because when you gotta go.
Well, I think the problem is I think you're right. It's getting a lot of use, but it's also getting a lot of abuse, it sounds like.
Who is that company speaking? It was bathroom, and they said, I'm sorry, bathrooms, but the town has public. They only have 6 one right over.
Well, that's why they're there, kinda.
So Cumbies is directing them all over to the public restrooms. So it's $75 per porta potty, so that's $150. Really, continue because we wasn't as bad this week.
No, no.
It was, I think, type of belief in. What was what? However,
You're talking about a $450 additional expenditure for this year.
right. I just don't think it's worth spending $450 when we know that it's on the weekends, it's getting used with tourists coming back and forth. This is Illinois, out of state.
Oh, I see truck,
Peter Fogg
I've
said
seen
that
people-
that was
I've seen
gonna
three
happen.
people in the,
He
I've seen three
wanted it
people in
to
the last
happen.
week pulled over using it. Yeah, it just happens. Yep.
Yeah. That's why they're there. I just,
so is that the consensus is no, not to spend the additional cost?
Personally, I would.
I would.
I'm,
Hell yeah, look, that's a Tilton public restroom. The town of Tilton puts that up there for the use of the public. And the word I want to use, I can't. But that place is a reflection on us. I want to say it's a shit house. Okay,
And
and
we
it
did it.
really is.
there it
And we
goes.
did it. And
I did it anyway because it's terrible in there.
it's a crappy
And
situation.
it's a Tilton restroom, and I don't want to. There you go.
But-
So yeah, I would pay the money.
And that's fine, just, I just don't want to create,
Gina, what you want to do. All those
don't-
in favor of paying
don't-
the extra money.
don't want to create don't want to,
There you go.
Yeah.
You got a
So
consensus?
those, everyone,
I don't want you to get an expectation that come Sunday, that
It's gonna be perfect. It's
clean,
not.
because it's not.
I understand that,
Okay.
but it's going to be cleaned twice as often as it has been, so that's got to make it better on some level.
Okay.
And you don't want to lock them because someone will get angry and knock it into the river.
the other side,
Yeah.
side of that
can't
could
do
be, wow,
that.
that's clean. We're going to use it more often.
But when I'm standing there cooking cheeseburgers and people start walking up to me and telling me about the bad conditions in the bathroom, it's not a fun experience.
Jeannie, I just have a question.
Right.
Those stay out beyond the concert series, right? They stay out until like,
Right, and that's why I had two questions. I posed two questions. Do you want additional clean for the remainder of the concert series, or until the toilets are removed? Because the toilets stay, I think, till like October.
Columbus Day, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that after the concert series is done, it'll greatly ease up the use of the.
I think after the
Facilities.
concert series, it goes, starting September, back to once a week. Who's in favor of that?
Me.
Yeah. Yes.
Me, yeah.
Bless you.
Wait, so
Thank you.
So to keep the twice a week for the remainder of August, and then once September comes around, once a week for the remainder of the
but
season.
so really all we're telling them to do is to clean it twice a week until September.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay, then,
But my thought was next year, maybe Rowell does different, maybe we contact them. I don't know. Do we put it out to bid or does it?
Thank goodness.
no, I did it this year.
I don't know, just a thought. Because they're local, they might be able to make it more stops, because they're driving by that 10 times a day. Where's Byronville? Oh, is it? Oh, okay.
Okay,
There was
what's
one thing-
next?
All right, next, oh, she's got more.
Jeannie's done, there was something I wanted to just mention that I saw
Oh, when I'm done or,
when you're done.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to follow up because I was looking at the notes. Pat had given me a copy of the notes from the Conservation Commission meeting, and I wanted to follow up on that because the Conservation Commission had suggested a list of mitigation efforts for consideration and had asked to work with the board to coordinate priority items. So I wanted to find out when you would like me to schedule that meeting with the Conservation Commission to work on those items.
At their convenience.
When are they gonna stop?
We, according to my conversations with the folks at DOT, this, well, you all know it's not going to happen until next year anyway. And there was some concern that if we didn't get our comments in, that we would miss some opportunity. And they assured me, I think I shared that with you, they assured me that we wouldn't miss the opportunity. But even having said that, I still think that if it were me, I think I would try to meet with the Conservation Commission sometime in September and get this done.
Was there, correct me if was there a due date in terms of the mitigation ideas that we've had? I can't, no.
Thing really come
No.
out. Yeah.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
And
Okay.
that is what I communicated with them, Scott.
Okay.
But I think we can all go home and think about it, what type of things. And it would be a list, not just for this, but if there's other things that come up, what are our focus areas? A lot of times these things come up and we can offer
And I
mitigation.
saw the conservation
So in
list,
September.
and their top
Yes.
two were my only two. Is the stones on the island and making sure that the bridge abutments, where they're in the river.
They put in for kayaks, for I think, to walk down for fishing along the side of the river, down beaches. So we always have a list. So statues.
All right, anything else?
Yes. The town clerk tax collector received a right to know request. And Cindy brought that to my attention. It did not come to the town hall. It went to the clerk, the town clerk from New Hampshire Votes, I think it is, to Cindy Reinhardt's New Hampshire Votes. And Cindy suggested that the board might want to have our attorney look at this and give guidance about what we're going to release or not release.
What do they want to know?
Well, I haven't received anything, and Cindy, I don't think she's received. Oh.
Did it come to her directly?
No, she didn't even, I don't think that she even got it. She knows it's coming. Yeah. So I don't know if you want me to.
Well, we wait and see what it actually says when it comes in.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah. It's good. Wait and see. Maybe it'll get lost in the mail.
And then just one last thing. I know with, we just went through all the performance appraisals. And one of the things I want to do in September is a workshop with the board to look at the final version of the employee handbook. I want you to take a look at a couple different evaluation tools. To Scott's point about process, how we do evaluations. I want to get that process in place. So I'd like to schedule that for some time and put it on the calendar so that we get it done. And it may be a long meeting, but we've got to get it done. And I think, Lieutenant Gilman for his first time did a great job with his first performance evaluation. And when we have folks like that who we ask them to do something like that and they've never done it before, that perhaps, and I did sit down with them and work with them a little bit. So he was more comfortable with doing it, but we just need to give people the tools they need to be able to do the things we're asking them to do. And I know that last year I did the chief's review, and my question to you, am I doing the chief's review? I know she's in a probationary period right now, but will I be doing her review going forward, or is that going directly to the board?
I would say that you should do
I'd say with you.
Okay. I thought you were going to say, I thought you were going to say the municipal manager for the Caleb Hill Road project.
That too. So,
He just hasn't reached that point in the list.
When we were going to Caleb, the town was going to hire someone to do.
It would be good.
I thought that was part of the.
Well, I still have to I have to sit down and meet with him and go through this to see what exactly. Because that's what he told me, and I don't know if it's because of the way that we got the funding this time. He said to me that he'd never seen, because it was put in the budget, he had never seen anything like this before. And so I don't know. I just need to have a conversation with him about it, really understand what's going on. But he did impress upon me several times during the conversation that this is managed by the municipality, and it's going to take a big chunk of my time to do that. So.
Remember, there's someone.
Well, would that be the engineer, with the engineering firm? Yeah, so.
Well, which part of it? Because that's a state road. Why would we be managing their project?
Well, see,
Don't
that,
they manage it and then they turn it over to us?
right, because it's whatever they did in the budget to get, it's something unique. And that's why I say I really need to sit down with him and talk to him about that, because I don't either, but Tim has volunteered to actually do it all, so.
he lives there.
I'm kidding.
He lives there. He
Yeah,
can
the commute won't be bad for him.
That's
He
right.
could just set up a desk on the road and work remotely, but monitor the whole
Look at all
project.
those pop-up tents.
Right. He lives on that road. He should be doing this. That's right.
And Noah's out of the house, so you got extra room. You can make an office right there.
And you have so much more time. Yep. Okay, so I'm done.
I just want to mention, last week or a week and a half ago, maybe 2 weeks, I was going by and Belknap Landscaping had a big tank truck out there by the wall by the Tilton School along the river. And they were spraying all the defoliant stuff, the Roundup to kill it all. And they got along where all the plants are in the front too.
I'm sorry, what did they do?
No.
Yeah, I don't know how.
No. So I'm sorry to interrupt, but DPW was down doing some of the weed whacking along the wall. Okay, no, I know that Belknap goes into. I'm
don't know how much is going to survive.
I'm not going to get into that because I'm not happy with that. Just Belknap's a whole, that's a.
I'm totally, I don't even know what I totally missed.
Where you planted all the tulips and all the lilies.
Yeah.
They were spraying the wall, but the guys, up above the stuff with the Roundup.
Yep.
But they got along the front too.
Oh, so they killed all those tulips
But
we planted.
they did the whole strip and there were separate people doing it. And some of the guys went a little nuts with it. And other ones were careful. So we're not going to know what's going to survive.
Oh.
And then Public Works after that one, and they mowed it too. So it's.
So they get the first time, they got it the
Well,
second.
the plants, the tulips can be mowed and they
Yeah.
can't.
Yes.
be
Yeah, but
But
they can't be
poisoned.
But they,
Yeah, they
if
can't
the
be
foliage
poisoned.
can't be
Yeah.
sprayed or. I'm very, yeah, I was like, so I took a picture if they deny us.
Jeannie, do you remember White Rock? No, it's not White Rock. Where
Gaslight.
did they put the Gaslight when we did the management and the solar?
No, that's White Rock that has the solar.
Is it White Rock?
Yes,
Yeah.
it is White Rock.
My understanding from residents that, and I've tried to look back on the minutes of the meetings that we had with that solar company, and it said that a portion of the energy was going back to the residents of the White Rock. Well, some of the residents have not received any discount or seen any type of decrease in their electric at all. Nothing in White Rock. So I'm just, how do we go about checking that?
It's their contract.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm not sure we do anything.
I got the call too.
It's between,
You got the call too?
it's
Yeah.
between White Rock. They negotiated that with that solar company.
That's
If you
right.
remember, this board was not supportive of that. And
That's right.
that the company or the organization from Vermont tried several different ways to get this done, and they finally did get it done.
So it's up to the management of the White Rock to figure out where the solar company in Vermont is,
They're a
they're
co-op, so they don't.
the co-op,
You know, and I
the management of
I
the
tried
co-op.
to explain that to them, because what they're doing is they're actually, they'll go and say that they're helping lower income people.
Right.
But or this is my personal opinion, I think they're preying on them. And,
Well-
and then they got it and they had pages and pages of contracts and they just signed everything and they didn't.
Well, when they sat before the planning board, they said the money was going to go back to the residents in that trailer park. When they sat before us, they said the exact same thing. But now we have residents that are telling us just the opposite. So
Get a
they
lawyer
got to
when you
go
sign
back.
contracts.
Talk is
Right.
cheap, and it wasn't a planning board condition.
Really sad.
You know, it is. It is.
Okay, I'll let them know. I'll just tell the people that called, just
I
let them
told
know.
them, you know, if they have complaints, they should just go and go onto the company's website or Google and.
Yep, got it.
The Public Utilities Commission, maybe. I mean, they have avenues for their complaints, but nothing we could do.
All right.
That is.
Anything else that needs to come before this board this evening?
I have one last thing,
Yes, Mr. Jessman.
what she said.
I-
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
There's a second at 9:09. All those in favor say aye.